I collect attributes in the apocalypse. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76. Let's get started. Lin Xiaoxiao's question really hit Murengzu's heart. Murengzu wanted to answer that she and Lin Fan were in a relationship, but after thinking about it carefully, it seemed that she and Lin Fan did not have a clear relationship yet. As a girl, she was naturally embarrassed to say it out loud. Your brother and I are good friends. Murengzu also glanced at Lin Fan with her beautiful eyes. Good friends, Lin Xiaoxiao blinked. We are also alumni. Before the doomsday, we were both students of Jiangnan University, Murengzu added. Is that so? Lin Xiaoxiao did not ask any more questions, but smiled and nodded. Women understand women better. In fact, from the look in Murengzu's eyes when she looked at Lin Fan, Lin Xiaoxiao could already see some tricks. She could guess that the relationship between Murengzu and Lin Fan was not clear, but it was definitely obvious that Murengzu liked Lin Fan. While the two of them were talking, Lin Fan put away his sniper rifle and jumped down from the wall. Brother Lin, good shooting, Zhang Xianjun praised. When Lin Fan opened fire on the evolved zombies, he also found a place at a suitable height to watch, and saw Lin Fan snipe and kill 5 evolved zombies. The first 3, who stood still or moved very slowly, could be successfully killed by anyone with a little sniping skills. However, the 2 evolved zombies that were sniped later must have very superb marksmanship to do it. Zhang Xianjun even secretly compared it to himself. If he were to snipe, he might not be able to achieve Lin Fan's results. This made him more curious about Lin Fan. Seeing that he was not very old, but had such good marksmanship, could it be that Lin Fan had been a soldier before? You're flattering. Lin Fan shook his head slightly and said, we have to prepare to leave. I just looked and my friend can no longer hold back the zombies. More and more zombies are gathering towards the hotel. If we don't leave, we will be trapped here. Well, let's get started. Zhang Xianjun nodded. He saw the situation that Lin Fan described clearly just now. As soon as he finished speaking, he waved to his teammates, who immediately put the telescopic ladder they had prepared on the wall. The gate had been blocked by them, and it was impossible to remove the obstacle. In that case, the zombies outside would swarm in, which would be even more disadvantageous to them. During this process, Lin Fan thought of another question. He looked at everyone and asked loudly, does anyone know Wang Jianwei? Everyone looked at each other, but no one answered. Lin Fan sighed in his heart. It seemed that Wang Jianwei's parents had suffered misfortune. Professor Mu, you go to the wall and wait first. When the time comes, we will jump down and open the way. Zhang Xianjun turned around and said to Mu Guoxin. Okay, Mu Guoxin responded and climbed up the wall with Mu Linger. Brother Lin, we will go this way and you go that way. Be careful. Zhang Xianjun looked at Lin Fan. Lin Fan nodded. It was undoubtedly best to go in 2 directions to avoid too many zombies and put everyone in danger. Xiaoxiao, Lin Fan shouted to Lin Xiaoxiao. Lin Xiaoxiao glanced at Ding Ruai on the other side. Rui Yang, what are you still standing there for? Ding Ruai reacted and hurried to Lin Xiaoxiao's side. Oh, brother, I forgot to tell you just now, this is my best friend Ding Ruai. We have been together since the outbreak of the doomsday. Lin Xiaoxiao said quickly. Well, you go up together, Lin Fan nodded. Although he didn't want to bring another person, this person was Lin Xiaoxiao's best friend after all. Lin Xiaoxiao was able to bring Ding Ruai with her under such circumstances, which was enough to show that their relationship was indeed very good, just like that between him and Wang Jianwei. Thank you, brother Lin Fan. Ding Ruai was very polite and immediately thanked Lin Fan. You're welcome. Lin Fan shook his head. Then, Lin Xiaoxiao and Ding Ruai didn't waste any more time and quickly climbed up the wall along the telescopic ladder. Let's go up too. Lin Fan looked at Murengzu and said. Well, Murengzu nodded. For Lin Fan and Murengzu, climbing the wall was easy. After seeing them go up, some people in the hotel also started to climb up the wall with their weapons. Brother Lin, are you ready? After everyone climbed up the wall, Zhang Xianjun looked at Lin Fan from the opposite side and asked. No problem. Lin Fan made an okay gesture. Then let's get started, Zhang Xianjun said in a deep voice. After the voice fell, Zhang Xianjun took the lead. He jumped to the ground and waved the fire axe in his hand continuously to clear a small area where people could stand. The other two evolvers saw that the area below was cleared, and quickly let Mu Guxian and Mu Linker go down, and then they jumped to the ground. The rest of the comrades also followed. Their mission was to protect the safety of Mu Guxian and Mu Linker, and they had to surround Mu Guxian and Mu Linker. After they continued to kill some zombies and the area where they could stand was widened, the rest of the people jumped down from the strong one by one. However, during this process, as soon as someone fell to the ground, he was pounced on and bitten by a zombie, and immediately let out a scream. Seeing this scene, those who didn't jump were even so scared that their legs went weak. Two of them fell down directly. In a blink of an eye, they were pounced on by zombies, and their bodies were ruthlessly torn apart. Mu Guxian was very sad about this situation, but he was powerless. The danger they were facing was still very great. He could only follow closely in the protection circle of Zhang Xianjun and others. It was impossible for him to have the strength to rescue others. "I'll go down first, and you follow me." Lin Fan and others took a look at the zombies gathering below, said something, and acted quickly. He grabbed the edge of the wall with one hand, shook his body, and held the axe with the other hand, chopping at the zombies at a very fast speed. After two shakes back and forth, more than a dozen zombies were lying on the ground. Lin Fan loosened his hand and fell to the ground, continuing to swing the axe and chop. "I'll help you go down," Murinzu said. "Well, thank you, Sister Murin." Lin Xiaoxiao hurriedly thanked her. Then, with Murinzu holding them with her hands, Lin Xiaoxiao and Ding Ruai also stood safely on the ground. Murinzu jumped down from the wall, holding a dagger in her hand, swinging it continuously, stabbing into the zombies' heads. Roar! Roar! The zombies' roars became louder and louder, and more zombies were gathering towards the hotel. Lin Fan didn't want to care about the people behind him. After seeing Murinzu, Lin Xiaoxiao and Ding Ruai all come down, he frowned and said, "Let's retreat to the left first, and then find a chance to go around to the front. We must go back to the road we just took to get a car, otherwise we will be completely surrounded soon." Lin Fan was very clear about the current situation. If they didn't go back to the RV and take advantage of the impact of the RV, they would indeed be trapped to death in this place. Therefore, they had to take a detour back to that road. Chapter 77, Can't Kill. While Lin Fan and Murinzu were cleaning up the zombies, the people on the wall behind them kept jumping down. Some of them who reacted quickly avoided the zombies' attacks, while those who reacted slowly naturally became the zombies' meals. Not long after, the people who were bitten to death by the zombies also turned into zombies and joined the zombie army. Such a scene was a bit too cruel for Lin Xiaoxiao and Ding Ruai. Fortunately, they were protected by Lin Fan and Murinzu, otherwise they would have ended up like those people, falling into the mouths of zombies. "Lin Fan, there are evolved zombies coming." Murinzu waved her dagger and killed 3 zombies in a row. She swept her eyes across the zombie group and noticed that not far ahead, there was an evolved zombie approaching them quickly. When she and Lin Fan were acting before, it was not too dangerous when there were evolved zombies coming. After all, when Lin Fan was dealing with the evolved zombies, she only needed to protect her own safety and get rid of the zombies around her. However, now that Lin Xiaoxiao and Ding Ruai were by her side, her protection range would be even larger, and this was not an easy task. If she was not careful, they might be in danger. Hearing Murinzu's voice, Lin Fan quickly looked back and indeed saw an evolved zombie staring at them and running towards them. Lin Fan naturally thought of the problems that Murinzu could think of. If he tried his best to deal with the evolved zombie, it would be quite difficult for Murinzu to protect Lin Xiaoxiao and Ding Ruai alone. As for using a sniper rifle to kill, it seemed even more unrealistic. There were too many ordinary zombies around, and he had to deal with ordinary zombies all the time. How could he have the chance to aim with a sniper rifle? After thinking about it, Lin Fan decided to wait until the evolved zombie got closer before taking action. The evolved zombie was not slow, and soon it was less than 10 meters away from them. "Come over here." Seeing that the time was almost right, Lin Fan said to Murinzu. Although Murinzu didn't know how Lin Fan planned to deal with the evolved zombie, she couldn't ask any more questions at this time. The two of them changed positions tacitly. At this time, the evolved zombies had entered the 5-meter range. Lin Fan's eyes flashed with a strong murderous intent. He reached out his hand to his waist and took out the pistol that was stuck on his waist before. He pulled the trigger without hesitation. The black muzzle sparked and the bullet flew out. Bang! Along with the spread of a gunshot, the head of the evolved zombie exploded in the next moment. The bullet accurately blew up its head. The body of the evolved zombie rushed forward, and it no longer had the strength to support it, and it fell to the ground immediately. In such a close distance, Lin Fan calculated that the evolved zombie would not have time to cover and avoid it. Using this special method, he perfectly solved the danger in front of him. Seeing this scene, Murenzhu couldn't help but admire Lin Fan even more. She now understood why Lin Fan wanted to exchange positions with her, and it turned out that he wanted to shoot the evolved zombie in the head with one shot. Retreat a little further to that side, and then we'll go around. Lin Fan glanced over and confirmed that no evolved zombies were approaching them. He quickly switched positions with Murenzhu and walked in front to clear the way. Lin Xiaoxiao and Ding Ruai were protected by the two of them, one in front and one behind, and truly experienced what it meant to walk between life and death. With so many zombies, if there was any mistake, they would be in danger of death. Bang! 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 On the highway, Zhang Yuansheng was still driving the RV, constantly hitting the bodies of the zombies, breaking them into pieces. There are too many zombies, we can't kill them all, Zhang Yuansheng frowned. Although they had killed many zombies by driving, zombies were gathering continuously, and many of them had avoided taking this road and gathered directly towards the hotel from the side. Brother Zhang, I just saw Xiaofan and the others have jumped out of the hotel, and are now dealing with zombies in that direction. I estimate that they will return to this road as soon as possible. Let's delay for a while, and when they come back, we can just go over and pick them up and leave. Wang Jianwei took a deep breath and said quickly. Although he had been staying in the car, he was always paying attention to Lin Fan's movements. Lin Fan and others just came out of the hotel, and he saw it clearly. Well, this is the only way now, after all, our car can't drive over there, Zhang Yuansheng nodded. If we knock open the guardrail in the middle of the road, can't we get through? Murenzhu asked curiously. It's no problem to knock through the guardrail, but there are many evolved zombies in the zombie group. Once we are surrounded by evolved zombies, we will be in danger. At that time, Lin Fan and your sister will have to divert their attention to come and rescue us, which will only make the situation more complicated, Zhang Yuansheng explained. You must believe in Lin Fan and your sister. They will definitely succeed in returning to this road. We can delay as much time as possible, which will be the greatest help to them, Murenzhu nodded. She had ignored the problem of evolved zombies just now. Bang! Bang! Zhang Yuansheng stepped on the accelerator, the steering wheel kept turning, and drove the RV among the zombies. Many zombie bodies have been crushed under the crushing of the RV. The black rotten blood keeps flowing on the ground, and the strong rotten smell permeates the air. The situation on Zhongshanjian and other side is not much better. Although they also carry guns, the bullets in the guns were used up as early as the beginning of the Doomsday outbreak. Now that evolved zombies come to attack them, they can only go up and deal with them. Of the dozen or so comrades, several had already died at the hands of zombies. As for those who followed them in this direction, they died one after another. There was nothing they could do. There were too many zombies. They didn't have strong strength, and they were panicked and frightened. It was normal that they couldn't cope with it. Crack! Zhongshanjian swung the fire axe in his hand continuously, and his body kept avoiding the attacks of the evolved zombies in front of him. After finding the right opportunity, he chopped with an axe, and finally chopped the evolved zombie's head steadily. Zhongshanjian moved the axe violently, and the evolved zombie's head was cracked. There are too many zombies around, and we must move towards that road. Zhongshanjian also made a quick decision to get rid of this evolved zombie. At present, there are the least number of zombies on that road. Even if they can't get rid of the zombies, it is much better than other areas. Yes, Captain. Upon hearing Zhongshanjian's order, the subordinates immediately responded, continuing to protect Mu Guishan and Mu Linger, moving step by step towards the direction of the highway. Chapter 78 Save Them. Roar. Roar. The roar of zombies filled the area. Countless zombies kept pouring in, as if a small zombie tide had erupted. There were still some living people hiding in the rooms in the surrounding buildings. When they saw the situation below, they couldn't help but be shocked. They never expected that Lin Fan and others would be surrounded by so many zombies. In their opinion, Lin Fan and others were just struggling before death, and there was absolutely no chance of escaping. Ka. Lin Fan continued to swing the axe in his hand, and the heads of zombies fell to the ground one by one. When there were evolved zombies approaching, he used a pistol to quickly shoot at them, and thus solved 3 evolved zombies. Hurry up and cross over. After about 10 minutes, Lin Fan, Lin Xiaoxio, Ding Ruia and Murongsu finally moved to the crossbar of the road. Hearing this, Lin Xiaoxio and Ding Ruia did not delay at all and hurriedly crossed the crossbar. After seeing them pass, Lin Fan and Murongsu did not delay either, and jumped over the crossbar with a light jump. Brother Jiang. They are on the highway. Wang Jianwei kept an eye on the situation of Lin Fan and others. When he saw Lin Fan and others return to the highway, he immediately reminded Jiang Yuanzheng. Okay, I'll go there right away. Jiang Yuanzheng nodded. Bang! Bang! Jiang Yuanzheng turned the direction and knocked the approaching zombie away. He stepped on the accelerator to the bottom, and the RV speeded up and drove quickly towards Lin Fan and his 4 companions. After arriving next to Lin Fan and his 4 companions, he stepped on the brakes, stopped the RV, and opened the door. Xiaofan, get in the car, Wang Jianwei shouted. Murongsu, Lin Xiaoxio and Ding Ruia quickly boarded the RV. Seeing this, Lin Fan did not delay, moved his body, and flashed in. Jianwei, I may have to say sorry to you. Lin Fan took a deep breath, looked at Wang Jianwei and said, I asked after entering the hotel, and your parents are not there. When Wang Jianwei saw that there were only 4 people including Lin Fan, he actually had a rough answer in his mind. He believed that Lin Fan would not fail to ask about the whereabouts of his parents. If his parents were really inside, Lin Fan would definitely protect their safety. Since no parents came out with Lin Fan, it was enough to explain a lot of problems. Wang Jianwei showed a bitter smile on his face and shook his head and said, Xiaofan, it's okay, I can bear this result. Lin Fan reached out and patted Wang Jianwei on the shoulder. Maybe they didn't listen to you at the time, or they didn't have time to get to the hotel, but went somewhere else. We'll look for them later. Yeah, Wang Jianwei nodded heavily. Lin Fan's kindness had already touched him. After a moment, Jiang Yuanzheng said without looking away, Lin Fan, are we leaving here now? Wait, when Lin Fan was about to nod, his sight saw Zhuang Xianjun and others outside. After the bloody battle just now, there were only 5 people left in Zhuang Xianjun's group. That is, Mu Guoxian, Mu Linger, Zhuang Xianjun, and 2 other evolvers. The rest of their comrades in arms all died under the attack of zombies. What happened? Jiang Yuanzheng asked. Murongsu also looked at Lin Fan in confusion and asked, what else do you want to do? I want to save them, Lin Fan said. They are completely surrounded by zombies. How can we save them? Murongsu frowned. Drive the car over to pick them up, Lin Fan quickly said. I will use a gun on the roof of the car to deal with the evolving zombies. Even if it is difficult to hit them, it can still hinder the evolving zombies to a certain extent. Zhuang Xianjun and the other 2 are all evolvers, and Zhuang Xianjun's evolution speed is quite fast. He is an absolute talent. If possible, he can be won over. What's more, a scientific research professor like Mu Guoxian is a talent among talents in the doomsday environment. He can be used in many aspects. Okay, Jiang Yuanzheng has heard the firm meaning in Lin Fan's tone. He responded and immediately did not delay. He stepped on the accelerator, turned the steering wheel, and rushed towards the guardrail of the road. Boom! The guardrail of the road was so powerful that it was easily broken. Bang! Bang! After knocking the guardrail, Jiang Yuanzheng continued to drive towards where Zhuang Xianjun and the other 5 were. The zombies blocking the way were either knocked out or smashed to pieces. Open the car door, Lin Fan said when he saw the right moment. Jiang Yuanzheng immediately opened the car door. Lin Fan moved his body and appeared at the car door. He swung his axe and killed several zombies outside the car door. He then put his backhand on the roof of the car and pulled his arm hard. His whole body flipped up in a hooked posture and appeared on the roof smoothly. Seeing this, Jiang Yuanzheng quickly closed the car door to prevent the zombies outside from having a chance to enter the RV. Standing on the roof, Lin Fan first glanced at Zhuang Xianjun and the other 5, and then looked at the evolved zombies in the zombie group. Several evolved zombies were preparing to approach Zhuang Xianjun and the other 5. Lin Fan's eyes focused, and he took the sniper rifle behind him in his hand and aimed through the sniper scope. The RV was moving, and the evolved zombies were also moving. In this situation of double movement, it was actually very difficult to shoot accurately. Lin Fan didn't know if he could shoot accurately. After he estimated the impact of speed, he pulled the trigger. Bang! The bullet flew out and headed straight for an evolved zombie in front of the left. Unexpectedly, although the bullet did not hit the center of the head, it also hit the temple. The head of the evolved zombie suddenly exploded under the powerful attack of this bullet. Lin Fan's shooting is really accurate, Zhang Yuanzhang exclaimed while driving. He knew very well how difficult it was to shoot accurately in this situation. He could even be sure that if it were him, the chance of hitting the target would be less than 0.01%. Unexpectedly, Lin Fan hit it with one shot. This is enough to show that Lin Fan's shooting is many times stronger than his. Zhang Xianjun glanced at Lin Fan in the RV and gave him a grateful look. Speaking of which, he never thought that Lin Fan and others would provide them with help. Facing the attacks of so many zombies, most people would definitely run away as soon as they have the chance to escape, and would never come over to face the danger. Lin Fan's behavior undoubtedly left a deep impression on him. In response to Zhang Xianjun's grateful look, Lin Fan simply nodded, then continued to aim at the next zombie through the sniper scope and pulled the trigger again. Bang! Another bullet flew out, and in the blink of an eye, another evolved zombie lay on the ground. The remaining evolved zombies had already sensed the danger and moved faster in the zombie group, not giving Lin Fan the opportunity to aim, which indeed made it more difficult for Lin Fan to snipe. Chapter 79 Heading to BH City. However, Lin Fan's goal was not to kill all these evolved zombies, he just wanted to help Zhang Xianjun and others. As long as Zhang Xianjun and others were out of danger, his goal would be achieved. With him sniping, the other evolved zombies would not dare to approach Zhang Xianjun and others. Bang! Bang! Zhang Yuanzhang drove the RV through the zombies and soon came to the area next to the hotel. Let's go, Zhang Xianjun shouted. The 5 people began to run towards the RV. During this process, there were still many zombies rushing towards them. In order for them to board the RV smoothly, Lin Fan put away his sniper rifle, jumped up, jumped off the RV, held an axe, and killed his way out of the blood, and soon joined them. With the addition of Lin Fan, the pressure on Zhang Xianjun and others was naturally greatly reduced, especially Lin Fan was very skilled, whether it was the angle of avoiding zombies or the speed of attacking zombies, he had a perfect grasp. Soon, they came to the outside of the RV. Seeing this, Zhang Yuanzhang opened the door without hesitation. Get in the car, Lin Fan said in a deep voice. Mu Guoxian and Mu Linger went up first, and then Zhang Xianjun and the other 2 followed closely. Finally, Lin Fan got into the car. Zhang Yuanzhang immediately closed the door, turned the steering wheel, crushed the zombies, turned the car around, and returned to the road he had just been on. The movement here attracted a lot of zombies. Lin Fan looked around and said, Brother Zhang, go to the left and rush out from the left. Okay, Zhang Yuanzhang nodded, turned the car to the left, stepped on the accelerator, and the car speed reached the highest level, whizzing past with a hurricane. Seeing the zombies in front being smashed to pieces, Zhang Xianjun praised, Brother Lin, your car has been modified so well. It's simply a nightmare for zombies, you're too kind. This car is okay for ordinary zombies, but when facing evolved zombies, you still have to be careful. Once you are knocked to the ground by evolved zombies, the people in the car will also be in an absolutely dangerous situation. Lin Fan smiled faintly. That's right, Zhang Xianjun nodded. The car was sealed all around. If the car turned over, it would be impossible to break the window and escape. The only way out was through the door. At that time, there would be a lot of zombies blocking the door. Going out would be no different from committing suicide. Thank you for your help, Mr. Lin. Mu Guoxian walked up to Lin Fan and thanked him politely. Although he did not participate in the battle to kill zombies, he also knew how dangerous it was to deal with zombies. If it weren't for Lin Fan and others coming to help them, they would have been trapped to death by the zombies. Professor Mu, you are polite, Lin Fan shook his head. I wonder where you are going next, Mr. Lin, Mu Guoxian asked again. I haven't thought about it yet. What about you, Professor Mu? Lin Fan asked back. We have a secret research base in BH City. I want to go back there to take a look, Mu Guoxian said. I'm afraid that research base has also fallen in this doomsday outbreak, Lin Fan pondered. Little friend Lin, you don't know that even if the research base has fallen, the research equipment inside can still be used. Mu Guoxian's eyes flashed with a solemn look, and he emphasized, the most important thing is that bullets can be produced there. Whether it is pistol bullets, submachine gun bullets or sniper bullets, There are equipment to produce them. I think bullets should still be very important in the doomsday. Before the outbreak of the doomsday, Mugushin was mainly engaged in scientific research in the military. It is difficult for him to judge whether the secret base has completely fallen, but it is worth mentioning that he needs the equipment there to produce bullets, so that he can have a better survival guarantee in the doomsday. These words also made Lin Fan very tempted. They don't have too many bullets now. If they can't get them later, they will be gone after they are used up. If they can produce bullets by themselves, no matter from which angle you look at it, it is definitely 100 benefits and no harm. Brother Lin, if you don't know where to go for the time being, why don't you go to that secret base with us? Zhang Xianjun asked. Anshao City is about 200 kilometers away from BH City, which is not too far. If there are no accidents on the way, the three of them should be able to protect Mu Guxian and Mu Linger to arrive safely. But the problem is that they don't have this kind of modified car, and the dangers they face on the road will certainly not be reduced, and the time spent will also increase a lot. If Lin Fan can be persuaded to go to BH City with them, it will save a lot of trouble. Little friend Lin, if you can go together, then half of the bullets produced at that time will belong to you. Mu Guxian made a heavy condition. Half. This is a very irresistible statement. Even Lin Fan didn't want to resist. Okay, let's go to BH City together. Lin Fan nodded and agreed. Bullets are absolutely scarce resources in the doomsday, and no one will have too many. Regardless of whether Zhang Xianjun, Mu Guxian and others can join their organization later, it is definitely right to store more bullets. Seeing Lin Fan agreed, Mu Guxian's face was full of smiles. With Lin Fan and others going to BH City together, it can be said that the safety of this journey has been improved by at least half. Zhang Xianjun was also full of smiles. He had a good impression of Lin Fan. First of all, Lin Fan was very strong, and secondly, Lin Fan had great command ability. A team of such a few people could survive so well in the doomsday. This is not only about strength, but also about knowing the overall situation. Brother Zhang, you should be familiar with the road from Anshao City to BH City, right? Lin Fan asked. Familiar, Zhang Xianjun nodded and said, I am very familiar with these two cities, Brother Zhang, then you will show the way and I will drive. None of us have been to BH City and are not familiar with the road, Lin Fan said, and then walked to Zhang Yuanzhang's side. Brother Zhang, you have been driving for so long, let me take over next. Okay, Zhang Yuanzhang responded, stepped on the brakes, stopped the car, and soon took over Lin Fan's seat. Zhang Xianjun sat in the passenger seat and pointed the way to Lin Fan. Lin Fan's driving skills were better than Zhang Yuanzhang's, and he drove faster. At this speed, the zombies behind him had already been left out of sight, and it was impossible for them to catch up. Fortunately, the interior area of this RV was large enough, even though there were more than a dozen people, it would not seem crowded, and everyone could sit down and have a good rest. Chapter 80 Muran Shen takes action. The RV was driving on the road, and the scenery on both sides was rapidly receding. As the doomsday time passed, the feeling of the city would become more and more depressed. From bustling to deserted, it only took more than 10 days. For the living, this has a spiritual impact anyway. In particular, for those who have lost their loved ones, the spiritual impact will be even greater. Wang Jianwei's mood recovered quite quickly, but Mu Linger was always depressed. The death of her parents has dealt an unprecedented blow to the girl. Mu Guxian comforted her every day, but the effect was not great. However, Mu Rongsu, Mu Rongshan, Zhang Zintong, and Lin Xiaoxiao took turns to talk to her, which made her less depressed. After all, the idiom of empathy is most appropriate for them. Gradually, Mu Linger also began to try to integrate into this circle, with a rare smile on her face, which made Mu Guxian happy. At his age, the one he is most worried about is naturally his granddaughter Mu Linger. The reason why I want to go to the research base is nothing more than to create better living conditions for Mu Linger. Take the second road on the left at the fork in the road ahead, and then keep going and you will reach BH City, Zhang Xianjun said slowly. Okay, Lin Fan nodded. The journey was quite smooth. He did not encounter any road blockages or zombie outbreaks. This may be related to the route provided by Zhang Xianjun, which successfully avoided those roads that may be congested before the doomsday outbreak. BH City is the capital of the province, a real first-tier city, with a permanent population of more than 10 million, plus some migrant workers. It is almost close to 20 million. This is a serious densely populated city. Is the secret base we are going to in the city center or somewhere else? Lin Fan asked casually. Not in the city center, on the seaside, to be precise, on an island, Zhang Xianjun said. On an island, Lin Fan was a little surprised. It seems that this secret base is really mysterious. It was built on an island. However, in a sense, the island is indeed quite safe. Although zombies don't breathe and won't be drowned, they don't know how to take a boat. Once they enter the sea, they will be washed away by the sea. If the people in the secret base hadn't turned into zombies and caused a large-scale infection, they might have been safe. Zhang Xianjun looked in the direction of the center of BH City and said, for a city with so many people, the number of zombies must be astonishing. If the secret base is in the city center, it would be too dangerous for us to go there. Indeed, Lin Fan smiled. When the RV entered the area of BH City, Zhang Xianjun continued to show Lin Fan the way and rushed to the secret base along the edge of the city. Why are there so many zombies in these places? Zhang Xianjun looked at the situation outside the car and asked with some doubts. The edge of the city was originally a sparsely populated area. Logically, even if all of them turned into zombies, there shouldn't be so many. However, now at a glance, there are dozens of zombies wandering around, and even groups of hundreds are not uncommon. After the first zombie outbreak, these zombies can't find living people in the city, so they will spread outward. The density of zombies should become more and more normal as time goes by, Lin Fan said. Zhang Xianjun nodded suddenly. It seemed to make sense. Lin Fan was driving on the outskirts of the city. When he encountered a road blockage, he directly broke through the guardrail and drove outside. After passing the blocked section, he returned to the road. 3 hours later, Zhang Xianjun said, Brother Lin, stop at the port in front. We have to take a boat to go there. Okay, Lin Fan responded and drove the car to the port. Hundreds of zombies wandering around quickly gathered towards the RV after hearing the noise. Brother Lin Fan, let me try these zombies. I haven't killed a zombie yet, Muran Shan said hurriedly. Zhang Xianjun, Mu Guishan and others looked at Muran Shan in surprise. This little girl is only in her teens? She wants to go out to deal with zombies? Don't you know how scary zombies are? Just when they were surprised, Lin Fan nodded and said, okay, the range of activities here is relatively wide, and it is not easy for zombies to surround you. It is indeed convenient to try your hand, Brother Lin. Did I hear you right? You asked her to go out and kill zombies, Zhang Xianjun asked in even greater surprise. Haha, Brother Zhang, just watch, you will soon know her strength, Lin Fan smiled. Jiang Yuanzhang and others also smiled. With Lin Fan's permission, Muran Shan was very happy and took the dagger from Muran Zhu in her hand. Lin Fan opened the car door, and Muran Shan immediately slipped out. You follow her. Help her in case of an emergency, Lin Fan looked at Muran Zhu and said. Yes, Muran Zhu picked up a machete from the ground and got out of the car as well. This was Muran Shan's first time facing zombies. As a sister, it was impossible for her not to worry. After all, Muran Shan was her only living relative, and she didn't want to see Muran Shan get into trouble. When the first zombie rushed towards Muran Shan's petite body quickly dodged, then quickly swung the dagger in her hand and stabbed it into the zombie's head very accurately. Her body has also evolved, Zhang Xianjun reacted. Judging from the speed of Muran Zhu's dodging and attacking, this is definitely not something that ordinary people can have. Yes, Lin Fan smiled. Zhang Xianjun secretly took a deep breath. Lin Fan and others had a team of only 6 people, but 3 of them had evolved. This probability was too terrifying. Muran Shan was obviously very excited about killing a zombie for the first time. She originally thought that zombies were ugly, terrifying and cruel, but now she felt that zombies were just like that and were not her opponents at all. She held the dagger tightly and rushed forward to attack without waiting for the zombies to pounce on her. The zombies were knocked down by her one after another, and she became more and more excited. To the point that after the excitement, she became careless. When she got rid of 2 zombies, she stepped back and did not raise her vigilance to pay attention to the situation behind. Roar. A zombie roared, and a zombie suddenly pounced on Muran Shan. Muran Shan looked back, her face changed drastically, and it was too late to dodge. Bang! However, at this critical moment, Muran Zhu appeared beside her, raised her foot and kicked the zombie's head directly. You are careless. After killing the zombie, Muran Zhu said, don't be careless just because you think you are powerful. You must always stay alert, understand? Chapter 81 Lay down your weapons. Sister, I understand, Murin Shan nodded obediently. She was indeed a little excited just now, and she relaxed her vigilance for a moment, thinking that all these zombies were at her mercy. If Murinzu hadn't come to her rescue, she would have been bitten by the zombies just now. Go on, Murinzu waved her hand. Yes, Murin Shan gathered her mind, raised her vigilance, and shuttled among the zombies again with a dagger in her hand. After the thrilling experience just now, she did learn a great lesson and dared not be careless at all. Zhang Xianjun looked at Murin Shan's performance and couldn't help saying, this little girl is making progress so fast. She only knew how to grasp the degree of advance and retreat in such a short time. Young people learn things quickly. Lin Fan smiled. Haha, brother Lin, you say this as if you are not young anymore, Zhang Xianjun laughed. In fact, in terms of psychological age, Lin Fan, who has experienced 2 lives, is much more mature than Zhang Xianjun and even Mu Guoxian. Because once a person has experienced death, many problems that are not clear to the naked eye can be instantly seen through. More than 100 zombies were completely solved by Murin Shan in a short time. Sister, how is it? Did I perform well? After Murin Shan knocked down the last zombie in this area, she jumped in front of Murinzu with a dagger in her hand and asked with a smile. Murinzu touched Murin Shan's little head and said, except for the carelessness just now, I performed quite well at other times. Hearing this answer, Murin Shan laughed. At the same time, Lin Fan drove the car to the other side and stopped, saying, we are going to the island. I don't know how long it will take. You get off here first, and I will find a place to park the car in a hidden place in front, okay? Zhang Xianjun and others nodded, and then got off the car one after another. Of course, the guns and supplies in the car were taken down by them, and it was impossible to leave them in the car. Lin Fan drove the car forward for a while and saw a temporary parking lot. The cars were parked in a messy manner, and there was a large truck lying on the side of the road. If it wasn't for someone's special intention, few people would pay attention to the situation in the parking lot. He decided to park the car in this parking lot. After driving in and parking the car, more than a dozen wandering zombies approached. Lin Fan swung his axe and quickly dealt with them. Soon, Lin Fan walked back to the port and joined everyone. We have to find a boat, Zhang Xianjun said. Can you drive a boat? Lin Fan asked. Yes, Zhang Xianjun nodded. Okay, Lin Fan glanced forward and said, when I came from the parking lot just now, I found that there were many boats docked there. Well, let's go over and take a look. The group walked towards the direction Lin Fan said. Be careful. After reaching the destination, Lin Fan frowned and reminded. There were many zombie corpses lying on the ground. It was not difficult to see that these zombies were all killed. Zhang Xianjun was the captain of the special forces. He was naturally sensitive to such an environment. He scanned the surroundings carefully, trying to see if he could catch any dangerous aura. After looking around, he did not find anything around. Xiao Zheng, you two go check if the boat over there can still sail, Zhang Xianjun ordered. Yes, Captain. The 2 evolvers did not hesitate at all and immediately turned around and prepared to walk towards the boat on the shore. Bang! Bang! However, before they took 2 steps, 2 gunshots rang out. A closer look showed that the ground in front of them had been hit by bullets in 2 deep pits. Don't move. Then, a large group of people walked out from a distance, each holding a gun. There are snipers. Stand still. Lin Fan and Zhang Xianjun said this sentence almost at the same time. They could recognize at a glance that the bullets from the 2 shots that hit the ground just now were sniper bullets. In other words, others had issued a warning to them. If they still acted arbitrarily at this time, then the sniper hiding in the dark would undoubtedly snipe and kill them. The bullet speed of a sniper rifle is extraordinary, and it is not easy to avoid it. Moreover, even if they can avoid it as evolvers, there are still people in the team who are not evolvers. At present, staying still can at least ensure that the team has no casualties. Soon the group of people came in front of them, led by a flat-headed man who was about 1.85 meters tall, with strong muscles all over his body and long scars on both arms, which looked quite eye-catching. It seems that you are quite sensible and know what to do and what not to do. The flat-headed man glanced at Lin Fan and others, and a sneer appeared on his face. He also looked at Murinzu, Mu Linger, Zhang Zintong, Lin Xiaoxiao and Murin Shan. What he didn't expect was that in such a team, there were so many beauties and their quality was ridiculously high. Big brother, we are just passing by, we have no other intentions. Lin Fan looked at the flat-headed man and said, if this is your territory, please forgive us for disturbing you. We will leave now and will not set foot here again. Haha, yes, this is indeed our territory, but you can't come and go as you please. Since you are here, you should stay and have some fun. The flat-headed man smiled disdainfully, and then changed his tone and said in an unquestionable tone, put down all your weapons, don't try to resist, and don't try to escape. Our snipers are ready for you at any time. If you don't want to be shot in the head, then do as I say. Okay, let's put down our weapons. Lin Fan nodded, and took the lead in throwing the axe in his hand and the pistol on his waist to the ground. There were more than 30 people in front of him, including the flat-headed man, each of whom had a gun in his hand, and the muzzle of each gun was pointed at them. Moreover, he also checked with a ring. Among the flat-headed man and others, including the flat-headed man, there are 3 evolvers. Of course, the most important thing is that they have no idea how many snipers are hiding in the dark. This is the biggest threat to them. If they want to survive now, they can only obey the orders of the other party, take one step at a time, and then find a chance to escape. Seeing Lin Fan throw his weapon to the ground, Zhang Xianjun, Wang Jianwei, Zhang Yuanzheng, Murengzu and others did not hesitate anymore, and also threw away their weapons one after another. Everyone is very clear about the current situation, and they cannot resist. Are you the leader of this team? The flat-headed man looked at Lin Fan. Yes, Lin Fan nodded in response. This is a bit unexpected. You have become the leader of this team at such a young age. It seems that you have some skills. The flat-headed man grinned. It's a pity that you fell into our hands. Even if you are a dragon, you have to coil for me. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82 Take All Away. When the doomsday began, the flat-headed man and others quickly gathered together, and also got a lot of guns from the police station and other places, and have been robbing in this place. Anyone who passes by here will be robbed after being discovered by them. Regarding the flat-headed man's words, Lin Fan shook his head and said, brother, you are joking. We are not dragons. We just happened to pass by here. You can take everything on us. Just give us a way to survive. Although supplies are important, compared with staying alive, everything can be given up. In this situation, hard confrontation is definitely not a wise choice. It is necessary to take measures to save the country in a roundabout way. No matter what the other party's purposes, one's own side must show a strong desire to survive. Relaxing the other party's vigilance is the top priority. We will take your things away, but whether you can live or not is not up to me. It's up to our boss to decide. The flat-headed man smiled faintly, looked at the people behind him, and said, tie up all their hands. Anyone who dares to resist will be killed without mercy. Yes, Brother Nian, the people nodded in response, stepped out, and felt around. Soon, everyone had a rope in their hands, which was obviously prepared in their pockets. Lin Fan weighed the pros and cons again in his mind. After all, he felt that if they resisted now, they would have no chance to kill the other party, and their side would definitely suffer heavy losses. He took a deep breath and stretched out his hands. At this time, what he had to do was to be patient. The other party did not shoot them directly, but took them to see another boss, which meant that there was still room for turning around. At least, it would not be too late to meet the boss behind the other party before considering the next step. Seeing Lin Fan stretching out his hand, Wang Jianwei and others naturally did not say much. They stretched out their hands obediently and let the other party tie them up with a rope. When those brothers were tying the hands of Murengzu and the others, their breathing was obviously a little faster. There was no way. Murengzu and the others were beautiful and had a fatal temptation trainee man. But they did not dare to act rashly and could only tie them up honestly. A few minutes later, Lin Fan and the others' hands were tied with ropes. Lin Fan felt the degree of the rope binding slightly and came to a conclusion that if it were an ordinary person, he would definitely not be able to break free from the rope, but for evolvers like them, they could still force the rope to break free when they used their maximum strength to break free. Fortunately, the flat-headed man and others did not know that there were evolvers in their team, otherwise, the binding would be more stringent. Brother Nian, there are a lot of guns and bullets in these backpacks, When a younger brother checked the backpacks on the ground and found the situation, he immediately reported to the flat-headed man. The flat-headed man walked over and took a look, and his eyes suddenly showed surprise. He had never thought that there were so many guns and bullets in the team of Lin Fan and others. This was really incredible. Good, very good. We got so many things this time. The boss will definitely be very satisfied. The flat-headed man laughed heartily after being surprised. The bigger the harvest they got from the robbery, the bigger the reward they would get. This time, not to mention the few beauties they got, just the guns and bullets were enough for him to take credit. Where did you get these? The flat-headed man walked in front of Lin Fan, stared into Lin Fan's eyes, and asked arrogantly. In his opinion, Lin Fan and others had become lambs, left to be slaughtered by them, and he naturally would not give Lin Fan any face. I got it in a prison, Lin Fan said. Prison? The flat-headed man was stunned. The prison in BH City? No. Lin Fan shook his head and said, we are not from BH City, we came from Jiangnan City. For this information, Lin Fan felt that there was no need to lie or to make up nonsense. Anyway, the flat-headed man would not go to Jiangnan City to check. Yes, you have come so far to give us something. This kindness must be accepted by you. The flat-headed man laughed arrogantly and patted Lin Fan's shoulder twice. Then, he waved his hand again. Let's go back. The flat-headed man walked in the front. Only a few of his brothers followed closely behind him. The rest walked on both sides and behind Lin Fan and others, with guns in their hands still pointed at the heads of Lin Fan and others. From this formation, it is not difficult to see that this group of people is very defensive. Even though Lin Fan and others had their hands tied with ropes, they did not relax at all. Lin Fan slowed down his pace slightly and walked beside Zhang Xianjun. Seeing this, Zhang Xianjun said in a voice that only the two of them could hear, Brother Lin, I'm really sorry. I didn't expect to encounter such a thing as soon as I came here. Zhang Xianjun did feel a little guilty at this time. After all, they were the ones who set the conditions to invite Lin Fan and others to come. If Lin Fan and others had not come, they would not have fallen into such danger. Anyway, at Tushan Hotel, Lin Fan and others had saved their lives. Brother Zhang, this kind of thing is unpredictable, don't take it to heart. Lin Fan also replied in a voice that only he and Zhang Xianjun could hear. Although our situation is not very good now, there is still room for maneuver. How to maneuver? Zhang Xianjun was stunned. In his opinion, from the moment their hands were tied, they completely lost the initiative, and it can even be said that even their lives were handed over to the other party. If the other party wanted to kill them, they could do it at any time. Now hearing Lin Fan say that there is still room for maneuver, how can he not be surprised? We can break free from this rope, Lin Fan said. But they have more people and more guns. Even if a few of us can break free, it will be too late to save the rest. Zhang Xianjun frowned. He himself is an evolver, so he naturally knows that this rope cannot tie them up, but the key is that Mu Guoxian, Wang Jianwei and others cannot break free. You two. Stop mumbling. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. A little brother saw Lin Fan and Zhang Xianjun's mouths moving, and even though he couldn't hear what they were saying, he scolded them harshly. Lin Fan and Zhang Xianjun didn't say anything more and continued to walk. The place where the flat-headed man and others gathered was not far from the beach, and it took about 5 minutes to walk there. This is a factory. Before the doomsday, this factory was responsible for manufacturing some seafood products. It is true that you can eat from the mountains and live by the sea. This seafood product manufacturing factory is doing extremely prosperous business. The factory covers a large area, tens of thousands of square meters. Brother Nian, you have made a lot of money today. As soon as he walked to the gate, a man came up and greeted the flat-headed man. Chapter 83 Su Qinkang. The man who was speaking was responsible for guarding the gate here, and he was familiar with almost everyone. As one of the capable men in their boss's hands, Zhang Danyan naturally had to flatter him. Getting closer to him would also be good for his future development. What's more, the harvest Zhang Danyan brought back this time was indeed quite rich. Even if we don't consider what was in those backpacks, just a few beautiful girls in this team were enough to make people jealous. Haha, Xiao Zhao, let's have a good drink in 2 days. Now I'll take the spoils to find the boss. Zhang Danyan's eyes swept over Lin Fan and others, revealing a smug smile. Okay, Brother Nian, you go find the boss first. Xiao Zhao nodded. This factory had already been cleaned very clean. After walking in, except for the noisy scene, Everything else was not much different from before the doomsday outbreak. Zhang Danian obviously had a very high reputation here. Those who met along the way called him Brother Nian one by one. Soon, he brought Lin Fan and others to a building in the factory. Two men with guns stood at the door of the building, one on the left and one on the right, guarding at all times. "Is the boss in there?" Zhang Danian asked. "Yes," one of them replied. "Please go and inform them that I'm back with the spoils," Zhang Danian said. "Wait," the man who just replied turned and walked into the building, and walked out again not long after. "The boss said to let you in." The man waved his hand. "Well, thank you," Zhang Danian thanked him, and then continued to lead Lin Fan and others into the building. Lin Fan noticed that the two guards were both evolvers, and their status here was probably that of people who were only responsible for obeying the boss's orders, so Zhang Danian was very polite when facing them, and did not put on any airs. This made Lin Fan even more curious about what kind of person the boss was, and he even used evolvers to guard the door here. The layout of the building was very simple. There was a very spacious conference room on the first floor, which was used by the factory to hold employee meetings in the past. At this time, there were 5 people sitting in the conference room, 3 men and 2 women. The man in the first position was undoubtedly the boss that Zhang Danian mentioned. He just sat there quietly, and there was a kind of imposing aura emanating from him. This boss also had a more domineering name, Su Qinkang. The moment Lin Fan walked into the meeting room, he used the ring to read Su Qinkang's data. Species, human level, level 2 strength, 8 speed, 8 reaction, 8 power, none. When Su Qinkang's data appeared in front of him, Lin Fan couldn't help but stare at him. Level 2 evolver. This is the first level 2 evolver that Lin Fan has met. No wonder he can lead so many people. It turns out that his strength is so strong. You know, it's only been about 20 days since the doomsday outbreak. Being able to become a level 2 evolver in such a short time itself shows a kind of talent. Then, Lin Fan used the ring to read the data of the other 4 people. The 2 men and 2 women, as expected, were also evolvers. In terms of data, the 2 women had 5 in each item, 1 man had 6 in each item, and the other man had 7 in each item. If all the items are 7, it means that one step further will allow one to enter the ranks of the second level evolvers. This really surprised Lin Fan. He didn't expect to meet such a powerful team in this place. Just now, he walked all the way from the factory gate. He made a rough assessment. At present, there are at least more than 200 people gathered in this factory. In addition, some people may still be outside to continue the robbery mission. He thinks that there should be about 300 people here. A team of 300 people is definitely a large gang at the beginning of the doomsday. "Boss, these are what I just brought back from outside." Zhang Danian looked at Su Qinkang and said respectfully, "There are still a lot of guns and bullets in their backpacks." In front of Su Qinkang, Zhang Danian dared not be arrogant at all. Because he knew too well how strong Su Qinkang was. As long as Su Qinkang wanted to kill him, he would definitely have no way to survive. The guns and bullets taken from the army, Su Qinkang's eyes swept over Lin Fan and others, and then fell on Zhuang Xianjun. Seeing Zhuang Xianjun wearing a military uniform, showing the strongest military temperament, he subconsciously thought that Zhuang Xianjun was the leader of this team. Before Zhuang Xianjun could answer, Zhang Danian respectfully said, "Boss, this guy is the leader of this team. He said that all these guns and bullets were obtained from prisons, but not from the prisons in our BH city, but from the prisons in Jiangnan City." This group of people all came from Jiangnan City. When he said this, Zhang Danian also pointed at Lin Fan. "Oh? You are the leader of the team?" Su Qinkang looked at Lin Fan with a little surprise. He really didn't expect that Lin Fan, who looked so young, was still the leader of this team. "Yes." Facing Su Qinkang's gaze, Lin Fan nodded without changing his expression. "Interesting." Su Qinkang raised the corner of his mouth, and then he looked carefully at Murengzu and others. "There are quite a lot of beauties." Su Qinkang tapped his fingers lightly on the table and said, "But, do you know that in the doomsday, women can easily make people commit crimes, especially beautiful women. The more beautiful they are, the easier it is to increase the chance." Ha ha ha. After Su Qinkang finished speaking, the other 2 men and 2 women couldn't help laughing. Speaking of which, the looks of the 2 women were not bad, but they were far inferior to Murengzu and others. Women are jealous. Now that they see someone prettier than themselves, they are naturally happy to see Murengzu and others become men's playthings. After all, they are evolvers, and they sit in this position by strength, not by beauty and figure. They don't worry about their positions being threatened at all. It's nothing more than that little jealousy. Brother, we have fallen into your hands now, why don't you just tell us how you want to deal with it? Lin Fan stretched out his hand to indicate the rope trapped in his hand, and didn't beat around the bush. He had experienced such a scene in his previous life, and he knew very well how to deal effectively with a boss of Su Qinkang's level. Of course, before asking this question, he also made another comparison. Although the previous gunman did not follow many, only the few that Zhang Danyan was most optimistic about followed, and he did not point guns at their heads again. But the problem is that Su Qinkang and others are really powerful now. Even if he has the rich experience accumulated in his previous life, he can't make up for this gap. Chapter 84 Proof of Value. Even though there is only one level difference between a level 1 evolver and a level 2 evolver, the gap in strength is definitely not as simple as it seems. Under normal circumstances, a level 2 evolver can at least deal with 4 or 5 level 1 evolvers at the same time. This is also the premise that the 4 or 5 level 1 evolvers cooperate very well. If they do not cooperate well, they will inevitably be quickly defeated by the level 2 evolvers. Therefore, after carefully weighing the pros and cons, Lin Fan did not think that they had a chance to turn the disadvantage into an advantage. Su Qinkang was not unhappy with Lin Fan's direct questioning. Instead, he looked at Lin Fan with interest and said in a light tone, "Your lives will be in my hands. If I want you to die, you must die. However, I generally don't kill people casually. When the doomsday comes, zombies will become the master. Living humans are a scarce resource in themselves. People who destroy resources casually will never have much of a future. You can come to BH City from Jiangnan City and get so many guns. I think you should have some skills. I can give you a chance to prove that you are worth living. If you can prove that you are indeed valuable, then I will let you continue to live." Su Qinkang is indeed not a person who likes to kill indiscriminately. He knows that in order to grow and develop in the doomsday, human resources must be the fundamental foundation. Imagine that a person continues to become stronger, but if in the end, he is the only human left in the world, and the rest are all zombies, or all the zombies are destroyed by him, then what is the meaning of his living? What's more, if he controls capable people to do things for him, then he can sit back and enjoy the fruits of his labor. For example, now, he is the boss here. He only needs to sit here every day. Zhang Danyan and others will take care of the resources grabbing and searching for resources for him. This efficiency is undoubtedly much higher than if he does it himself. "We can search for food resources for you," Lin Fan said. "How much can we search every day?" Su Qinkang asked. "At least 500 kilograms, Lin Fan said. 1,000 kilograms, Su Qinkang stretched out a finger and shook it, and said in an unquestionable tone, "If you search for 1,000 kilograms of food resources every day, I can consider giving you a chance to live, otherwise, nothing will be discussed." Lin Fan frowned, pretending to be very embarrassed on the surface. After hesitating for more than 10 seconds, he gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, 1,000 kilograms is 1,000 kilograms, also, only the men in your team can go out to search for resources, and all the women must stay." Su Qinkang raised an arc at the corner of his mouth, and still said without doubt, "I must have a bargaining chip in my hand to believe that you will come back here again after you go out. You can rest assured that as long as you can meet the conditions you promised, I promise that the women in your team will not have any mistakes, but if you can't do it, don't blame me for being cruel." Before Lin Fan and others came here, some people were also forcibly brought here. There are still women in these people's teams. If they meet the conditions set for them, there will be no problems with the women in the team. If they don't do it, the women in the team will become playthings for Su Qinkang and others. "How can I believe your promise?" Lin Fan asked tentatively. "You can only believe it, you have no choice," Su Qinkang smiled. "Okay, I believe you." Lin Fan narrowed his eyes swept over Zhang Xianzhen and others, and said, "Before we go out to search for resources, can we have a full meal first, so that we can have strength?" "No problem, I will also give you time to communicate. I hope you won't let me down." While Su Qinkang was speaking, his eyes looked at Zhang Danyan and ordered, "Take them to the confinement room and give them some food. After an hour, the women will continue to be detained in the confinement room." "Yes, boss," Zhang Danyan nodded. This is all the routine operation, and the set of procedures has long been familiar to them. "Follow me." Zhang Danyan waved to Lin Fan and others, and then walked out of the door first. Lin Fan and others immediately followed. Su Qinkang looked at the other two male evolvers in the conference room. You guys go and keep an eye on them, don't give them the chance to play tricks. The two male evolvers stood up and went out without hesitation, following Lin Fan and the others. After they all left a meeting room, Su Qinkang looked at the two female evolvers. It's time for us to enjoy. One of the female evolvers came to Su Qinkang and sat on one of his thighs. Boss, those women are so beautiful, don't you plan to take them down directly? Su Qinkang reached out and touched the erect part of the other's body, smiled, and said, why are you in a hurry? As long as this group of people can bring me back 1,000 kilograms of food resources every day, isn't it more important than a few women? What's more, they are imprisoned here, can't they grow wings and fly out? They will become mine sooner or later, and I don't lack this little time. If you want to do big things, you must be patient. Hearing what Su Qinkang said, the woman giggled, stretched out her little hand and placed it on Su Qinkang's chest, and began to take off Su Qinkang's clothes, praising while taking off. Boss is wise, it is our blessing to be able to follow you. Su Qinkang smiled again, but didn't say anything more, and began to enjoy his fun. Zhang Danian and his group quickly brought Lin Fan and others to another building. This building has only 2 floors, and each floor has 3 large rooms. Everyone go to the room on the left of the first floor. I will arrange for someone to bring you food soon, Zhang Danian ordered. Thank you, Lin Fan said, and then they all went into the large room. The room is about 100 square meters in area, with a few simple beds and a separate bathroom. Not long after they entered the room, Zhang Danian arranged 2 people to bring them food and untied the ropes tied on their hands. Everyone knows that there are people guarding outside this room, so they will naturally not attack these 2 people, which is undoubtedly seeking death. Hurry up and eat, you have to go out to search for supplies in an hour, the person who brought the food reminded them, then turned and left the room. Eat first, Lin Fan said. The food prepared was actually 2 small breads and a bottle of mineral water per person, and they didn't give them much good food. Lin Fan, what are your plans? Murengzu couldn't help but ask after eating a piece of bread. Chapter 85 Analysis. Although she had known Lin Fan for less than a month, based on Murengzu's understanding of Lin Fan would never willingly submit to Su Qinkang, nor would he willingly help others. She knew that Lin Fan must have his own plans. Hearing Murengzu's question, Zhang Xianjun, Wang Jianwei and others all looked at Lin Fan. Obviously, they were also looking forward to Lin Fan's answer. Lin Fan swept his eyes over the crowd and whispered, this group of people is very strong. We are definitely not their opponents. If we fight hard, we will definitely be wiped out. The reason I agreed to their conditions is that I just want to buy some time. My current plan is to find them a few days of supplies first. After gaining a certain degree of trust, I will propose to go out for 3 more days and bring back 3,000 kilograms of supplies at a time. In this way, we will have time to check the secret base. Maybe there will be enough weapons there. In fact, on the one hand, Lin Fan wanted to delay time to go to the secret base, and on the other hand, he wanted to see if he could use the ring to obtain more attributes during this period of time. Of these 2, if the latter can be achieved, it will undoubtedly be the best result. After all, using the ring to pick up attributes to increase various data is the fastest way to improve one's own strength. Once he also becomes a second-level evolver, he will have the strength to challenge Su Qinkang. As for going to the secret base, it is mainly because all the guns on them have been taken away, and Su Qinkang will never allocate guns to them to let them go out to search for supplies. Therefore, getting more guns and bullets is still a very important thing at the moment. After listening to what Lin Fan said, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. At least Lin Fan's plan sounded absolutely feasible. What I am worried about now is whether that bastard will keep his word. Zhang Xianjun looked extremely solemn. It doesn't matter if they go out to search for supplies, but the key is that he is afraid that when they search for supplies, Su Qinkang will attack Murengzu, Mulinger and others. For women, some insults are more uncomfortable than killing them directly. Since he said so, he will definitely keep his word. Lin Fan's eyes fixed, and he analyzed, think about it from another angle. Our lives are now in the hands of the other party. If the other party wants to kill us, they can kill us immediately. There is no need to play such a trick, you know. He also wants to use us to collect more resources for him. Even if he breaks his promise, it is not a matter of the moment. It may take some time, as long as we turn defeat into victory during this period of time and take them down in one fell swoop, there will be no problem. In these matters, Lin Fan, who has experienced a lifetime can naturally see through the essence at a glance. Lin Fan's analysis was also recognized by Mu Guxian. Mu Guxian nodded and said, "Little friend Lin is right. They could have killed us directly, but they didn't do so. It means that they also want to use us to collect resources. As long as we can collect the promised resources every day, there will be no problem during that period of time." Mu Linger is his granddaughter and his only living relative. Naturally, he doesn't want to see Mu Linger get into trouble. After a short pause, he added, "There are many weapons in the secret base. And there are even weapons like laser guns. If we can get them, we can definitely turn defeat into victory." "There are also laser guns." Lin Fan was a little surprised. "Yes, there are, but the place where they are stored is very hidden and safe. I hope we can find the key after we go there." Mu Guxian nodded. "If we can get the laser gun, the problem will be easier to solve." Lin Fan smiled slightly, then looked at Murenzhu and others, and said, "When we go out to collect supplies, you just stay here, don't worry, we will definitely turn defeat into victory." With Lin Fan's analysis just now, Murenzhu and others are naturally in a very reassuring state. After eating, at the stipulated hour, the door opened, and Zhang Danian walked into the room with his younger brother. "Okay, the time is up, all the women stay, and the men go out to collect supplies," Zhang Danian said loudly. "Let's go." Lin Fan nodded to Zhuang Xianjun and others. "Brother, you all have to pay attention to safety." Lin Xiaoxiao gave Lin Fan a hug. Lin Fan reached out and patted Lin Xiaoxiao's back. "Well, don't worry, we will come back safely with the supplies." The moment they followed Zhang Danian and others out of the confinement room, the door was locked again. Lin Fan noticed that the door and lock here were very strong. If you want to force the door open from the inside, it will be very difficult. "We don't want guns, but can you give us axes and knives?" Lin Fan looked at Zhang Danian and asked. "Okay," Zhang Danian nodded. What Su Qinkang wanted to see was Lin Fan and others collecting enough resources and bringing them back, not to see Lin Fan and others die. In that case, it would be faster for them to kill them directly. When they arrived at the factory gate, the younger brother who Zhang Danian ordered to get axes and other weapons also quickly brought them back. "Don't blame me for not reminding you that the time limit for collecting supplies is 1 day. If it exceeds 1 minute, no, it will not exceed 1 second. Either come back early or wait to bear the boss's anger," Zhang Danian sneered. "I know, we will come back early," Lin Fan nodded. "These 2 cars are prepared for you. By this time tomorrow, I want to see you return with a full load." Without any reason or excuse, Zhang Danian pointed to a small car and a small truck parked outside the gate and said, "The keys are in the car." The small truck was obviously specially prepared for them. If it was fully loaded, it would probably be about 1,000 pounds. Lin Fan nodded again, then said something to Zhuang Xianjun and others, and the group walked out of the factory gate and got into the car. There were 7 people in the group: Lin Fan, Wang Jianwei, Zhang Yuanzheng, Mu Guxian and Zhuang Xianjun. The small truck can only seat 2 people. Lin Fan and Wang Jianwei are in charge, and the small car is Zhang Yuanzheng and the other 5. "Let's go." Lin Fan opened the car window, started the small truck, gave Zhuang Xianjun a look, and drove ahead. Seeing this, Zhuang Xianjun did not hesitate at all, and quickly started the car and followed closely. Seeing the 2 cars disappear from sight, a younger brother beside Zhang Danian said, "Brother Nian, do you think they can complete the mission?" "It's hard to say, maybe they can, maybe they can't," Zhang Danian said. I hope they can complete it," the younger brother laughed. "Why, if so, the boss will take action against those women. And then we may have a chance." Chapter 86 Reserve Warehouse. "Xiao Fan, where are we going to get supplies now?" Wang Jianwei sat in the co-pilot seat, looked at the dilapidated and desolate everything outside, frowned and said, "It doesn't seem easy to fill a car like this every day." "Don't worry about this problem. Professor Mu and his team are very familiar with this place. Even if we can't find so many supplies outside, do you think that with their status, they will not know where some strategic reserve materials are placed?" Lin Fan shook his head and smiled. He was indeed not worried about the problem of finding supplies. Strategic reserve materials. Wang Jianwei was slightly stunned. "Yes." Lin Fan glanced at the car following closely behind through the rearview mirror and said, "Whether it is peacetime or wartime, the country will have corresponding strategic reserve materials in every place. It's just that we ordinary people don't know the reserve location, but they must know it." Lin Fan guessed correctly. Mu Guxian, Zhang Xianjun and others all knew where the strategic reserve materials were placed. Therefore, for the time being, there is no need to worry about the problem of supplies. Just as Lin Fan finished speaking, Zhang Xianjun accelerated and drove the cart to the front and stopped. Lin Fan also stopped. Zhang Xianjun opened the car door and walked out, saying, "Brother Lin, we have a strategic reserve material location that is not far from here, and it can be reached in about 2 hours by car. Why don't we go there directly to have a look, which can also save more time, haha, brother Zhang. Lin Fan was just saying that you should know the location of the strategic reserve materials." "I didn't expect that he was right, Wang Jian," what you said with a smile. Zhang Xianjun didn't expect Lin Fan to know this, and he couldn't help but look up to Lin Fan a little more. "Brother Zhang, then go directly to the strategic reserve material location you mentioned," Lin Fan smiled. "Okay, I'll lead the way." Zhang Xianjun nodded, returned to the car, and without delay, restarted the car and drove. The strategic reserve material location they mentioned is not in the city center, but still on the seaside. They just need to walk along the seaside highway. However, before they drove the modified car, they didn't have to be afraid of zombies. Now they don't have a modified car to drive, and when they encounter zombies, they must pay attention to avoid them. Even when there are a lot of zombies and the seaside highway is blocked, you have to get off the car to get rid of the zombies, otherwise you can't rush through. The predicted 2-hour drive finally took almost 3 hours to arrive. "This is too remote," Wang Jian looked at the environment in front of him and couldn't help sighing. "If it wasn't a little more remote, wouldn't it be easy for the public to know about it?" Lin Fan smiled faintly. "This place, to be precise, is in a forest. If you are not familiar with the roads here, if you drive in randomly, you may not even remember the way back." Lin Fan and others got out of the car. Zhang Xianjun looked at a large warehouse in front and said, "It seems that except for the guards who were infected by zombies, no one else has been here. The supplies inside should still be there. There are many wandering zombies outside this large warehouse. These zombies are all wearing military uniforms. It is obvious that after the outbreak of the Doomsday, some people mutated into zombies and attacked the others. After all, in such a remote and hidden place, it is not certain that other zombies will come here from outside. We can take the guns off the zombies and put them somewhere, and then take them out when we need them later," Zhang Yuanzhang said. "Yes, otherwise we will still be confiscated if we return to the factory with the guns," Wang Jian nodded. "No need to put them, we have to take them back and give them to them openly," Lin Fan shook his head. "Xiao Fan, did I hear you right? We have to take the guns back and give them to them?" Wang Jian was shocked. Zhang Yuanzhang and others were also surprised by Lin Fan's words. Lin Fan said slowly, "We have hostages in their hands. Even if we have these guns, it can't change this fact. What's more, these guns can't solve the problem. We still have to go to the secret base, and then we won't face the problem of lack of guns, but if we take these guns back and give them to them, they will think that we are indeed obedient to them. This will not only relax their vigilance, but also increase their trust to a certain extent. At that time, I can ask us to go to a farther place to find supplies, so as to buy more time for us to go to the secret base." Lin Fan always looks at the problem from the essence. Although these guns are advantageous weapons, they don't have much use for them now. Especially hiding in a place, it is better to give them out in exchange for trust. As long as they get trust, they can have more time to do things. Yes, Lin Xiao's analysis makes sense. What we need is more time to go to the secret base. The weapons there are not comparable to these, Mu Guoshan said. "I agree with what Brother Lin said. We should hand over all these guns. When we get rid of them, all the things will be returned to us," Zhang Xianjun nodded. After saying this, Zhang Yuanzhang and Wang Jian naturally understood that they had just thought too superficially and did not think about it in depth. "Let's get started," Lin Fan waved his hand. "Get rid of these zombies first, and then go in to see the supplies in the warehouse." "Yes," everyone nodded in response. Dozens of zombies are extremely easy for a team like Lin Fan and 7 people. It didn't even take 2 minutes for all the zombies to fall to the ground. "Brother Zhang, Jianwei, you two collect the guns on these zombies here, and we will go in to take a look." Lin Fan looked at Zhang Yuanzhang and Wang Jianwei and ordered. "Okay." Zhang Yuanzhang and Wang Jianwei naturally had no objection. Bang! Lin Fan came to the front door and kicked it hard a few times. The warehouse door could not withstand such a strong force and opened with a sound. I've been to this warehouse twice before. I asked the people who are guarding it. They said that the main storage here is rice and pork. The left side is all rice, and the right side is all pork, Zhang Xianjun introduced. Has there never been anyone here? Lin Fan was a little curious. It's purely used for storing things. The guards all live in the room next to the warehouse. We all saw it just now, Zhang Xianjun said. Well, let's take a look at the rice storage first. Lin Fan took the lead and walked towards the warehouse on the left. Zhang Xianjun and the others looked at each other and quickly followed behind Lin Fan. It can also be seen from here that they also regard Lin Fan as their backbone. Chapter 87 Zombie Monkey. Opening the door of the warehouse on the left and walking in, what appeared in the side of Lin Fan and others were all bags of sealed rice. There were so many things to see. Just at this time, Wang Jianwei and Zhang Yuanzhang came in after packing up their guns. Wang Jianwei's eyes widened, and he swallowed his saliva in surprise. This is too much? How many kilograms? Zhang Yuanzhang was also shocked by the scene in front of him. He didn't expect that there were so many rice reserves here. Zhang Xianjun glanced at Wang Jianwei and smiled faintly. I don't know the exact amount, but I estimate it should not be less than 1 million kilograms. Damn. 1 million kilograms, Wang Jianwei's throat rolled. If we calculate it based on 3 people eating 1 kilogram of rice a day, the rice here is enough for 3 million people to eat for 1 day, and 1 million people can eat for 3 days. The reserve is really too abundant. Wang Jianwei's calculations made everyone laugh, which added a little fun. After looking at the rice inventory, Lin Fan and others went to see the pork warehouse on the right. The amount of pork reserves is similar to that of rice reserves, both of which are no less than 1 million catties. However, it is a pity that the refrigeration here has lost its effect. The pork has rotted during this period of time, and the stench is even worse than the stench of zombies. It's a waste to have so much pork to eat, Wang Jianwei said helplessly. There is no way. The doomsday has broken out and no one is maintaining the power system. After the problem occurs, it is impossible to refrigerate here, Zhang Xianjun also said with some regret. Let's go, move the rice to the truck first. It's good to have rice to eat, Lin Fan smiled. The group returned to the rice warehouse on the left and prepared to move 1,000 caddies of rice to the small truck. However, just as they took the bagged rice out of the warehouse and had not walked out of the warehouse door, the atmosphere suddenly changed. Swish. Swish. There was a slight sound from the surrounding trees. With a glance, you can clearly see that it was a monkey approaching the warehouse. The most important thing is that these monkeys have all turned into zombies. Why did they suddenly come here? Wang Jianwei felt his scalp tingling. There were so many monkeys, almost thousands of them. Lin Fan quickly scanned the area and soon locked onto 3 monkeys that looked slightly larger. What surprised Lin Fan even more was that the 3 monkeys were not infected and their eyes were red. Without hesitation, Lin Fan immediately used the ring to read the data of the 3 monkeys. Species, monkey level, level 1 strength, 6 speed, 6 reaction, 6 pickup attribute, strength. This was the data of the first monkey. Lin Fan quickly looked at the other 2 monkeys and found that their data was still 6. The only difference was that the pickup attributes of the other 2 monkeys were speed and reaction. In other words, if he could deal with all 3 monkeys, his data would increase again. He took a deep breath and slowly suppressed the joy in his heart. Lin Fan pointed at the 3 monkeys and said, they should be the ones leading the way. Zhang Xianjun and others looked in the direction Lin Fan pointed and saw the 3 monkeys as well. They have evolved too. Zhang Xianjun frowned and said, moreover, their IQ is very high. They know how to make noise to guide these infected monkeys. Yes, after animals evolve, their IQ will be significantly improved. Lin Fan narrowed his eyes and said, they should know that there is food here, so they want to occupy this place. I didn't expect that we happened to run into them. What should we do now? We are surrounded by them. Zhang Yuanzhang's face became much more solemn. These ordinary zombie monkeys are a little higher than ordinary people in terms of reaction and speed. Moreover, they can move freely on the trees, which makes them extremely difficult to deal with. Professor Mu, Brother Zhang, Jianwei, you 3 go back to the warehouse. Brother Zhang, the 3 of you come with me to get the guns. As long as you get the guns and find a chance to get rid of the 3 leading monkeys, these zombie monkeys can be easily led away. Lin Fan made a quick decision. Zombie monkeys are too flexible and inconvenient to deal with. Mu Guoshan, Zhang Yuanzhang and Wang Jianwei are all ordinary people. Except for their higher IQ than monkeys, their other data are not comparable. It was undoubtedly the wisest arrangement to let Zhang Yuanzheng and the other two retreat to the warehouse to hide. Okay, let's go and get the guns together, Zhang Xianzhen nodded without hesitation. The three monkeys led so many zombie monkeys to surround this place. It was impossible for them to take the opportunity to escape. They had to solve this trouble. Lin Fan, be careful, Zhang Yuanzheng warned, and then returned to the warehouse with Niu Guoshan and Wang Jianwei. Let's go, Lin Fan waved his hand and rushed to the warehouse gate first. The guns that Zhang Yuanzheng and Wang Jianwei had sorted out just now were all piled in the small car. Both cars were parked outside the warehouse gate. If they wanted to get the guns, they naturally had to get closer. Seeing Lin Fan take action, Zhang Xianzhen and the other two hurriedly followed. The four figures burst into the fastest speed, as if a breeze blew over, and the dust on the ground was swept up. Those zombie monkeys jumped down from the trees one after another and flew towards Lin Fan and the other four together. They react very quickly, be careful to avoid them, Lin Fan reminded in a serious tone. Ka. The moment he finished speaking, a zombie monkey came in front of him and was about to bite him, but he reacted faster, swinging his axe and chopping it on the head of the zombie monkey. At the same time, other zombie monkeys also attacked Zhang Xianzhen and the other two. Zhang Xianzhen's strength is very good, and there is no problem in dealing with these zombie monkeys. As for the other two, although their strength is not as good as Zhang Xianzhen, because they are comrades in arms, they cooperate with each other very well. When the two stood back to back, they were able to deal with it. After a short fight, Lin Fan and others quickly came to the car. While Zhang Xianzhen and the other two were dealing with the zombie monkeys, Lin Fan quickly opened the car door and took out 4 pistols from inside. Let's go, let's retreat first. It's better for us to stay inside and deal with them, Lin Fan said. For such highly flexible zombies, the more open the place is, the less wise it is to fight them. What's more, there were many trees outside, making it easier for the zombie monkeys to jump up and down. The 4 of them retreated back to the warehouse. And some zombie monkeys jumped onto the roof, then jumped down from the roof and pounced on them. Kaka! Kaka! The axes and machetes in the hands of Lin Fan and the other 3 kept swinging, and one zombie monkey after another fell to the ground. Chapter 88 Self-Evolution. While dealing with the zombie monkeys, Lin Fan kept his eyes on the 3 evolved monkeys. The 3 attributes that can be picked up are very important to him. If the 3 attributes are picked up, all his data will become 6. Moreover, during this period, he felt that all aspects of his body have a tendency to become stronger. This trend is the normal improvement brought about by the evolver himself after experiencing various battles. In other words, if his body data is normally improved by 1 point, plus the attributes he picked up, then all become 7. This means that he is only 1 step away from becoming a level 2 evolver. In the Doomsday world, the temptation of improving strength is stronger than any other temptation. Even if Lin Fan is reborn, he cannot resist such a temptation. The 3 evolved monkeys have been staying in the tree and have never come down from it. The only thing to be thankful for is that they may feel that staying in the tree is safe and have not carried out any extensive activities. Ka. After Lin Fan killed 2 zombie monkeys in a row, he switched the axe to his left hand, and immediately held a pistol in his right hand, ready to shoot. Bang! After finding the right time, Lin Fan did not delay at all. He quickly pulled the trigger with his finger. The gunshot sounded, and the bullet flew out, streaking through the air and heading straight for one of the evolved monkeys. This shot did not cause any accidents. It hit the evolved monkey's head very accurately, and it made a flower on its head. The body of the evolved monkey immediately fell from the tree. Brother Lin, you have great marksmanship, Zhang Xianzhen couldn't help but praise. At such a long distance, he could still shoot so accurately with a pistol. In terms of marksmanship, even if he was the captain of the special forces, he would be ashamed of himself. He wanted to ask Lin Fan how he practiced his marksmanship, but thinking that everyone has their own secrets, he didn't ask. Lin Fan smiled slightly at Zhang Xianzhen's praise and didn't say much. Because that shot could only kill 1 evolved monkey, and the remaining 2 evolved monkeys would not stay where they were after being warned. So, the difficulty is not the first one, but how to find an opportunity to kill the second and third ones. As expected, the remaining 2 evolved monkeys, although they didn't know that the thing in Lin Fan's hand was called a pistol, they already knew that the thing could shoot them from a distance. At this time, They were moving back and forth on the branches, which greatly increased the difficulty of shooting. After 3 minutes, Lin Fan still didn't find a suitable opportunity. He thought about it and said in a deep voice, "Brother Zhang, you continue to stay here to deal with it. I have to go out, there is no way." The two evolved monkeys use the trees to block them. They are not necessarily able to see them from their angles here. It is naturally impossible to hit them with bullets if they can't even see them. "Brother Lin, we are here. It's easy to defend and difficult to attack. It's too dangerous to go out," Zhang Xianjun said. "If we don't get rid of the two evolved monkeys, they may attract more animal zombies later." Lin Fan gave a random reason. After all, he couldn't tell Zhang Xianjun and others that he had to kill the two evolved monkeys in order to pick up attributes. Although such a reason sounds a bit far-fetched, it can still have some effect. "Brother Lin, then you must be careful," Zhang Xianjun warned. Lin Fan nodded, said no more, and rushed out with an axe in hand. Seeing Lin Fan's flexible evasive movement, Zhang Xianjun was not so worried. He now felt that even if Lin Fan did not kill the two evolved zombies, at least he would not be hurt. Lin Fan's speed was not slow, and he soon arrived outside the warehouse gate. Most of those zombie monkeys continued to deal with Zhang Xianjun and the other two, and only a small number came to chase Lin Fan. But with their speed, it was impossible to catch up. Lin Fan looked up at the sky and locked the figures of the two evolved monkeys again. He held the axe in his left hand and continued to hold the gun with his right hand. After aiming, he pulled the trigger and another gunshot was heard. Bang! A bullet, a precise headshot. The second evolved monkey fell from the tree. The reason why they were able to shoot this evolved monkey so smoothly was mainly because they did not expect Lin Fan to come out of the warehouse, and thought that they could avoid danger by using the cover of the trees. However, this also made the third evolved monkey completely alert. When it noticed Lin Fan, it didn't hesitate at all and quickly ran and jumped on the tree. Bang! Lin Fan fired a shot, but missed the tree trunk. These big trees have many branches, and it is really difficult to hit the evolved monkey when it actively dodges. Lin Fan locked his eyes on the other party. As the other party ran and jumped on the tree, he moved in the same direction on the ground. At such a fast speed, those ordinary zombie monkeys were quickly thrown away. Bang! Bang! During the chase, Lin Fan fired 2 more shots in a row, but still failed to hit the monkey. Lin Fan's eyes focused and looked forward, as if he had found the right opportunity. Just now, the branches of these trees were too lush, and the bullets were easily blocked by the branches. But at this moment, the evolved monkey continued to move forward, and the trees in front did not have such lush branches. This was equivalent to providing more favorable conditions for shooting. A man and a monkey kept running in the woods. When the monkey entered the area of the woods where the branches were not dense, Lin Fan stopped chasing, raised his pistol, and pulled the trigger by feeling the opportunity. Bang! The bullet flew out again. Lin Fan roughly calculated the influence of distance based on the speed of the bullet and the speed of the evolved monkey. When the monkey ran to the tip of a tree trunk and was about to jump to another tree trunk, the bullet hit its head. The monkey fell down and quickly fell from the tree trunk. Lin Fan walked over and picked up the strength attribute of the monkey through the ring. Species, human level, level 1 strength. 6 speed. 5 reaction. 5 ability. Acquiring. Lin Fan read his own data. However, at this moment, he saw with his own eyes that the data value had changed. Species, human level, level 1 strength. 7 speed. 6 reaction. 6 ability. Acquiring. Is this due to my own evolution? Lin Fan was startled at first, then his face was full of smiles. He was still thinking about the problem of improving his own evolution data before, but he didn't expect it to be realized so quickly. After he picks up the attributes of the other 2 monkeys, his data will become 7, and he will be very close to becoming a level 2 evolver. Thinking of this, he didn't delay any longer and turned back to the warehouse. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89. Report truthfully. When Lin Fan went to chase the evolved monkeys, Zhang Xianjun and the other 2 were still in the warehouse, using defense as a fence to deal with the zombie monkeys. The bodies of the monkeys kept lying on the ground. For the 3 of them, As long as they cooperated well with each other, these zombie monkeys would have no way to deal with them. Captain. Lin Fan is back. One person looked outside the gate and immediately saw Lin Fan's figure. Zhang Xianjun nodded. He knew that Lin Fan would definitely be fine. Lin Fan did not go directly into the warehouse, but quickly went to the two evolved monkeys and picked up their attributes respectively. Species, human level, level 1 strength, 7 speed, 7 reaction, 7 ability. Acquiring after picking up the attributes, Lin Fan's various data values finally became 7. If he were to fight alone, he would face Su Qinkang now. Even if he didn't win, Su Qinkang might not be able to defeat him. However, the main reason was that the people around Su Qinkang were not that simple. It was not enough to deal with Su Qinkang alone, not to mention that Murinzu and others were controlled as hostages. Lin Fan exhaled lightly, without thinking any more, leaving these distracting thoughts behind, and rushed quickly towards the warehouse door. He swung his axe repeatedly, and the monkeys' heads fell to the ground one after another. It seems that the strength has become much stronger. Zhang Xianjun was shocked when he saw Lin Fan's flexible figure and powerful strength. He could clearly feel that Lin Fan was much stronger now than before. If he was still confident in dealing with Lin Fan before, now he thought he was not even qualified to deal with Lin Fan. And this battle with the zombie monkeys, with Lin Fan's participation, undoubtedly accelerated the speed of the end. 5 minutes later, the corpses of zombie monkeys were scattered all over the ground. Lin Fan glanced at the ground. We have to clean up here. Zhang Xianjun nodded and told the two to start cleaning. Lin Fan walked to the door of the warehouse, stretched out his hand and knocked on the door, and said, Professor Mu, the monkeys outside have been dealt with, you can come out. The door of the warehouse opened, and Mu Guxian, Wang Jianwei and Zhang Yuanzhang walked out one after another. Seeing the monkey corpses all over the ground, the three of them were a little touched. The speed of solving this problem was really too fast. Even Mu Guxian, who was so old, began to have a little expectation of becoming an evolver. After cleaning the ground, Lin Fan and others moved the rice to the small truck. Xiao Fan, are we going back now? Wang Jianwei asked. Don't worry, Lin Fan shook his head, it's still early in the day, we can't go back so soon, otherwise they will think that it's easy for us to find supplies, and they may increase the task. As he said, Lin Fan glanced at the sky. While it's not dark yet, we can drive to other places and investigate the distribution of zombies. Brother Lin is right, those people are greedy. We originally said that we would find 500 kilograms of supplies every day, but they increased it to 1,000 kilograms. Zhang Xianjun pondered, if we collect and bring them back so quickly, they will definitely think that we have done it easily, and then they will naturally increase the weight of the collected supplies. Well, so let's go around first. Lin Fan smiled lightly. Get in the car. Everyone got back in the car, and the two cars left the forest one after the other. Outside the forest, Lin Fan and others continued to drive along the beach for a circle, and waited until the time was almost right before returning to the factory. Zhang Danian happened to be at the factory gate. Seeing the two cars, he couldn't help but squinted and smiled, and walked out. The two cars stopped. Lin Fan opened the door and got out. Have you collected anything? Zhang Danian asked. It's full. Lin Fan nodded, walked to the back of the truck and opened the back door. Zhang Danian came over and looked, with a strange expression on his face. Why is it all rice? Rice can make people fuller, and when they are full, they will have more energy to collect more supplies. Lin Fan said calmly, if you don't want rice, then next time we go out, we won't look for rice, but bring back other supplies. Zhang Danian laughed. Rice is good, no matter what supplies you find, as long as it is edible. Fill a truck. In addition to rice, we also brought back other things, Lin Fan said. Oh? What? Zhang Danian's face showed a hint of curiosity. Lin Fan walked towards the trunk of the car and stretched out his hand to open the trunk. So many guns. When Zhang Danian saw the picture in the trunk, he couldn't help showing surprise in his eyes. He didn't expect that Lin Fan and others would not only harvest so much rice, but also so many guns in one trip. This really made him feel incredible. I think we have completed today's mission, right? Lin Fan asked calmly. Completed? Zhang Danian nodded with satisfaction. I'll have someone take you back to the confinement room. I will take the supplies you collected to show the boss. After speaking, Zhang Danian waved his hand, and more than a dozen brothers came forward, each pointing a gun at Lin Fan and others. Lin Fan was not surprised at such treatment. Anyway, they didn't plan to explode now, so it didn't matter whether the other party was on guard against them. Under the escort of this group of brothers, Lin Fan and the other 7 quickly returned to the confinement room. Brother, as soon as Lin Xiaoxiao saw Lin Fan, he came forward and gave Lin Fan a big hug. Lin Fan smiled slightly and said, "Why are you still like a child?" Lin Xiaoxiao shook his head and smiled playfully. When Lin Fan and others returned to the confinement room, Zhang Danian ordered people to take all the rice and pile it up. Then, he asked a few younger brothers to take the guns surrendered by Lin Fan and others to find Su Qinkang. In the meeting room, when all the guns were placed on the table in front of Su Qinkang asked, "Did you get these today, boss?" "It's not me." Zhang Danian shook his head. "It's not you? Then who is it?" Su Qinkang frowned. "It's Lin Fan's group," Zhang Danian reported truthfully. He didn't dare to lie and take credit for himself. If that happened, it would be fine if Su Qinkang didn't find out. If Su Qinkang found out, he would definitely be severely punished. This is the rule set by Su Qinkang. No matter what the news is, it must be reported truthfully. The truth cannot be concealed, and it cannot be exaggerated. In this regard, Su Qinkang did a pretty good job. Zhang Danian's answer surprised Su Qinkang. They got so many guns, but they didn't even think of hiding them. They turned them all in. They are very conscientious, yet. "I didn't expect these guys to be so conscientious," Zhang Danian replied. "What about the supplies? Have you collected enough?" Su Qinkang asked again. "That small truck is full of rice, definitely enough for 1,000 kilograms, Zhang Danian replied. Chapter 90 Making a Request. All rice? Yes, all rice. Lin Fan said that rice is more filling than anything else. Haha, that's interesting. Su Qinkang squinted and smiled. No matter where they collect supplies, it is certain that their team is indeed quite powerful. Yes, boss. The key is that they have surrendered all the guns they have found, which shows that they are gradually giving up the idea of resistance. As long as those women are in our hands, we don't have to worry about them not doing things obediently. Zhang Danian laughed, and the smile on his face was as cunning as it could be. Yes, those women are their weak points. Su Qinkang reached out and patted Zhang Danian on the shoulder twice, saying, since they have performed so well, don't be too stingy with food resources, you can give them more. Yes, boss, I'll arrange it right away. Zhang Danian nodded quickly. Go. Su Qinkang waved his hand. Zhang Danian was very efficient in his work. After coming out of the meeting room, he personally went to select food for Lin Fan and others. Soon, he brought people to the confinement room. The things in this backpack are all for you to eat. Here, as long as you work honestly, you will not be treated unfairly. Zhang Danian took the backpack and put it on the ground, his words full of a sense of superiority. However, this backpack is indeed full of things, which can be seen from the degree of bulging. Thank you, Lin Fan responded. Zhang Danian looked at Lin Fan meaningfully, and then did not delay here any longer, turned around and left the confinement room. Wang Jianwei walked over, opened the backpack, and poured out all the things in the backpack. He couldn't help but say, so generous? There is also beef jerky? There is really beef jerky? Ding Ruai was also slightly startled. Zhang Xianjun looked at Lin Fan and said, Brother Lin, it seems that your suggestion to hand in the gun has played a good effect. They have even significantly improved our food. Zhang Xianjun knew very well that the change in this meal was definitely related to the gun that Lin Fan handed in. If they just handed over the rice, the other party would think that this was a task they should complete and would not give them any special rewards. The first step of trust has been gained. Next, as long as we complete a few more days of collecting supplies, we can take advantage of the situation and ask to go to farther place to collect supplies. Lin Fan smiled and said, in short, everything is moving in a good direction. This place can't hold us. Eat first, and then have a good rest. We have to go out again tomorrow, so we have to adjust to the best state. Hearing this, Wang Jianwei did not delay and quickly distributed food resources to everyone. These foods were obviously calculated according to the number of people, and everyone could get the same amount. After eating and drinking, everyone began to rest. The next day, Zhang Danian brought people to deliver food again, and asked Lin Fan and others to go out to collect supplies after eating. The two cars drove on the road again, and Lin Fan and Wang Jianwei were still sitting in the small truck. Are you going to get 1,000 kilograms of rice today? Wang Jianwei asked. We need to take some rice, but we also need to find some other food. Lin Fan analyzed. Otherwise, they will wonder where we got so much rice from. If they ask to go out with us again, it will be a bit troublesome." Hearing what Lin Fan said, Wang Jianwei was immediately impressed and said, "Zio Fan, what's wrong with your brain? Every time you consider a problem, you can consider it so comprehensively. It's really admirable, haha. Read more of Sun Tzu's Art of War and 36 Stratagems, maybe you will know how to figure out people's psychology." Lin Fan laughed. "I remember you seem to have bought these 2 books and read them. If I had known that they were so useful, I should have studied them more," Wang Jianwei said with some regret. Lin Fan didn't expect Wang Jianwei to believe what he said casually, so he didn't say much more on this topic. After the car drove for about 2 hours, Lin Fan stopped and said to Zhang Xianjun, "Let's go to the large supermarket we saw yesterday to find some other food to mix with rice and bring back. We won't just bring rice today, okay?" Zhang Xianjun naturally had no objection. After reaching a unanimous decision, the 2 cars turned from the fork in the road ahead and headed straight for the large supermarket they saw when they were wandering around yesterday. This large supermarket had been looted. However, perhaps because it was looted after the outbreak of the apocalypse, it was not completely looted, and there were still a lot of things left. Lin Fan and the other 7 people came here, parked the car, cleared the zombies around, and then began to move things to the car, loading about half of the small truck. "Okay, for the remaining half, we will go to the warehouse to load rice," Lin Fan said. The group left the supermarket and drove to the warehouse. After arriving at the warehouse, they moved hundreds of kilograms of rice from it and filled the small truck. After walking around for a while, the group slowly returned to the factory. In the next few days, Lin Fan and others acted like this, going out to look for supplies every day, strolling outside, and then estimating the time to bring the supplies back to the factory. 5 days passed quickly. When Zhang Danian came to the confinement room again to deliver food to Lin Fan and others, Lin Fan said, "Brother Nian, I have something to tell you." "What is it?" Zhang Danian looked at Lin Fan with some curiosity. "We have searched almost all the supplies nearby these days. There are also other people searching for supplies, so we want to go to a farther place to search. Calculated at 1,000 kilograms per day, if it takes 3 days, then we will bring back 3,000 kilograms of supplies at a time. Do you think it's okay?" Lin Fan asked directly. "Go to a farther place?" A hint of doubt appeared in Zhang Danian's eyes. If it were before, when he heard Lin Fan say this, his first reaction would definitely be that Lin Fan and others wanted to play tricks. But in the past few days, Lin Fan and others have performed very well, and even took the initiative to hand over the guns they found. The most important thing is that Miranzu and other women are still imprisoned here. It is reasonable for Lin Fan and others not to dare to play tricks. However, this kind of thing is not something that Zhang Danian can decide unilaterally, and he must ask Su Qinkang. "You come with me to see the boss first, and you can tell him yourself. If the boss agrees, then it's fine. If the boss disagrees, then forget it," Zhang Danian said indifferently. "Okay, thank you, Brother Nian," Lin Fan thanked him, but smiled coldly in his heart. Even if he went to see Su Qinkang, he was confident enough to make Su Qinkang agree to this request. Chapter 91 Heading to the Island. Su Qinkang was still in the meeting room, and Zhang Danian quickly brought Lin Fan here. "Boss, Lin Fan has something to say," Zhang Danian reported. Su Qinkang looked at Lin Fan. "What is it?" Lin Fan repeated what he had just told Zhang Danian. After listening, Su Qinkang did not think too much, and agreed very readily. "Okay, then I will give you 3 days to go out and collect supplies. After 3 days, you must bring at least 3,000 kilograms of supplies back here, otherwise, you know the consequences." In Su Qinkang's eyes, with Miranzu and others detained in their hands, Lin Fan would never dare to play any tricks. "Don't worry, Brother Su, we will come back with supplies on time," Lin Fan promised with a confident look on his face. "Haha, I'm waiting." Su Qinkang smiled, and then changed the subject and asked, "Do you need a gun? If you need it, I can consider providing it to you." "Thank you for your kindness, Brother Su, but we don't need to bring a gun when we go out to collect supplies." Lin Fan shook his head. How could he not see that this was Su Qinkang's test? If he answered yes, then Su Qinkang would certainly have some unnecessary suspicion and doubt. As expected, Su Qinkang smiled when he heard his unhesitating refusal and said, "Okay, then I'll wait for you to return in triumph in 3 days." Zhang Danian quickly took Lin Fan back to the confinement room. At this time, Wang Jianwei and others had finished their meals and were ready to leave. "Let's go," Lin Fan said. Several people picked up their weapons and walked to the factory gate. Zhang Danyan arranged for someone to drive a small truck that could carry 3,000 kilograms. It must be said that their vehicle reserves here are indeed quite rich. Lin Fan and others got into the car, started the car without any further delay, and left quickly. At this time, Su Qingkang came here. "Boss," Zhang Danyan and others shouted in unison. Su Qingkang nodded slightly, looking at the small truck and car that had not disappeared from his sight. Seeing this, Zhang Danyan couldn't help but ask, "Boss, are you worried that they are going to play tricks and send people to follow them?" Su Qingkang smiled confidently and said, "Maybe they have some other ideas, but they don't have the courage to play tricks. What's more, in the face of absolute strength, all fancy behaviors are meaningless." Hearing this, Zhang Danyan followed with a smile, "Boss is right. This group of people can't make waves no matter what. The gap in strength between us is too big. Let's go out for a walk." Su Qingkang raised the corner of his mouth and walked out of the factory. Zhang Danyan agreed and hurriedly followed. The two cars drove on the seaside road one after the other, at a moderate speed of about 50 kilometers per hour. During the driving process, for the sake of safety, Lin Fan kept looking behind through the rearview mirror to make sure that no one else was following behind. Although taking a boat from the dock outside the factory to the secret base on the island is the shortest route, it is too blatant there after all. So, after some discussion last night, they decided to go to another dock, where there were still many ships docked. Going to the secret base from there can effectively avoid the trouble of being discovered. 3 hours later, two cars stopped at the dock. They had been to this dock before, and the zombies around were cleaned up by them. Now, at a glance, there were only a few zombies wandering around. "I'll go and deal with them," Wang Jianwei volunteered. "Okay," Lin Fan nodded. Although Wang Jianwei is not an evolver, he still needs to train his experience in killing zombies. A few wandering zombies obviously cannot pose a big threat to Wang Jianwei, and they were quickly dealt with by Wang Jianwei. "We have checked, and there is no problem with the two ships, but the fuel on the left one is not enough, so we'd better drive the one on the right," Zhang Xianjun said. "You are familiar with this, so I'll listen to you," Lin Fan smiled. He really has never been involved in the ship business, and he can't drive it even if he is asked to drive it. A group of people jumped onto the boat, and Zhang Xianjun asked the other two teammates to drive the boat. The ship was sailing on the sea. Looking at the endless ocean, Zhang Yuanzhang couldn't help but say, "Zombies shouldn't be able to swim, right? If we live on an island in the future, wouldn't it be very safe? If we only consider the issue of survival, it is indeed very safe." Lin Fan also looked out at the sea and said with a smile, "But, Brother Zhang, have you ever thought about how much meaning life can have if we can only live on an island for the rest of our lives? In other words, such a life seems to be not much different from those prisoners sentenced to life imprisonment in prison before the outbreak of the Doomsday." As a former prison guard, Zhang Yuanzhang naturally knew how boring prison life was. He was fine, he could still go to work and have rest days, and he could go out for a stroll. But those prisoners did not have the conditions for such enjoyment, and could only be locked up in prison all the time. As Lin Fan said, if they lived on the island all the time, then there would indeed be no difference from life in prison. "Lin Fan, you still see it clearly?" Zhang Yuanzhang sighed deeply. "Professor Mu, from your perspective as a researcher, how do you think this doomsday disaster came about?" Wang Jianwei looked at Mu Guoxian, and suddenly he was curious about this question. Mu Guoxian smiled bitterly and shook his head. "I really don't know the answer to this question, especially after the doomsday. I can't contact my old friends. If I can contact them, maybe I can study them to find out the reason." Everyone chatted with each other, and soon an hour passed. "The island in front is the secret base," Zhang Xianjun pointed to the left front. From their current position, they could already see the outline of the island. "That island seems to be quite big," Wang Jianwei said. "Yes, it covers an area of hundreds of thousands of acres. It is indeed a big island," Zhang Xianjun smiled and explained. "However, the area of the base is not that big. The base is only about 10,000 square meters. That's not small either," Wang Jianwei nodded. Lin Fan didn't say anything, but looked at the island. For some reason, he always felt that there would be a lot of gains on that island. Moreover, this kind of harvest is not only the various weapons that Mu Guoxian mentioned, but also the attributes. I hope my intuition is right. Lin Fan began to look forward to it. If he can be promoted to second level evolver this time, it will be a real big harvest. Chapter 92 Secret Base. Since a secret base was built on this island, there is still a dock here. Zhang Xianzhen's two teammates obviously have rich experience in operating ships. After the ship approached the shore, it quickly stopped steadily at the dock. Lin Fan and others did not waste time, got off the boat, went ashore, and landed on this island. Go this way, Zhang Xianzhen pointed to the left and said, the secret base is hidden behind the woods. Since it is a secret base, it is naturally not wanted to be discovered by others. If it is not built behind to block it, then the ships passing by the island outside are likely to see it. Led by Zhang Xianzhen, the group walked towards the woods. As soon as they arrived in front of the woods and before they entered, they heard a piercing sound. Looking carefully, they saw several animals infected with a virus in the woods. Lin Fan's eyes condensed slightly, walked up and swung the axe, and easily solved them. There must be a lot of animals on this island, and there should be a lot of infected animals. Be careful and don't be attacked by them, Lin Fan reminded. Human-turned zombies are always large, with obvious targets and easy to deal with. However, some small animals-turned zombies are not easy to be discovered, and sometimes people can't guard against them. After hearing Lin Fan's reminder, everyone became more vigilant. After entering the woods, they encountered infected animals again as expected. With the axe in his hand swinging, the animal zombies fell to the ground one after another. These little things are really troublesome, Wang Jianwei said helplessly. Hiss. At the moment when his voice fell, a zombie snake suddenly jumped out of the bushes next to him and opened its mouth to bite him. Be careful, Zhang Yuanzhang shouted in shock. Wang Jianwei's face also changed suddenly. He didn't expect there was danger in the bushes. But at such a close distance and such a fast speed, he had no time to dodge and resist, and his mood suddenly became as dead as ashes. Whoosh! However, at the moment when the zombie snake was about to bite him, a subtle sound of breaking through the air was heard. I saw an axe flying over and just chopping the body of the zombie snake. Just like that, the zombie snake was split in half, and the axe flew over and stuck in the ground. Although the body was broken into two halves, the zombie snake was not completely dead. The upper body with a head was still wriggling, and it wanted to continue to attack Wang Jianwei. Snap! Lin Fan walked over, raised his foot, and stepped hard on the zombie snake's head. With a snap, the zombie snake's head was crushed and could no longer move. Lin Fan bent down to pick up the axe stuck in the ground, looked back at Wang Jianwei behind him, and asked with a smile, "Are you not scared?" Wang Jianwei's forehead was covered with cold sweat, and his palms were full of sweat. Fortunately, the crisis was resolved. He breathed a long sigh of relief, and by the way, he reached out and wiped the sweat on his forehead, shook his head and said, "I was really scared, Xianfan, thank you." Wang Jianwei knew very well that at that time, if Lin Fan had not reacted quickly and acted in time, he would have been bitten by the zombie snake. In that case, he would have become a zombie in no time. Zhang Yuanzhang and the others were also sweating. Fortunately, Lin Fan took action. The little episode just now did not affect their progress, but made them more vigilant again. It took 10 minutes for the group to finally walk out of the woods. The view in front of them suddenly became clear. In particular, the base that appeared not far in front of them looked like a small castle. "Isn't this base so cool?" Zhang Yuanzhang couldn't help but sigh after seeing it. Not only is it cool in appearance, it is also very strong. Even if you keep shooting at those walls with guns, you may not be able to penetrate them. The materials are very special, Mu Guxian smiled lightly. If this material is made into weapons or armor, wouldn't it be more practical? Zhang Yuanzhang's eyes flashed with surprise. Especially armor, if you wear it, you don't have to worry about being bitten by zombies, right? After all, zombies definitely can't bite through it. Mu Guxian glanced at Zhang Yuanzhang and said slowly, "In theory, it is true, but it is very troublesome to make such armor, and there are many procedures involved. People like us don't have this ability. The most important thing is that this material is not light. Let's not talk about whether the armor made from it can withstand it. Even if it can withstand it, it is estimated that it will be quite inconvenient for the people in the armor to move." Hearing this, Zhang Yuanzhang nodded suddenly. Hiding in the armor with inconvenience is more boring than living on this island to avoid zombies for a lifetime. "Is it infected here?" The guards didn't see it either, Wang Jianwei said puzzledly. "If animals are infected, Humans must be no exception. I just don't know the extent of human infection, Lin Fan said. He guessed that if people were not infected, they would also hide in the base instead of facing animal zombies outside. Soon, they arrived at the gate of the secret base. The materials used to build this place are so high-end. How can we get in without the key? Wang Jianwei looked at the gate and said, breaking the door by force won't work. Right, the face is the key. Mu Guoxin smiled slightly, walked to the front door, and looked up at the face scanner above. In a blink of an eye, the gate opened to both sides. There is no power outage here, Wang Jianwei was surprised. This secret base has taken advantage of the seawater and built a small power station. As long as the seawater is not exhausted and the equipment is not damaged, there will be no power outage here, Mu Guoxin explained. That's amazing, Wang Jianwei gave a thumbs up. Lin Fan also thought that this operation was amazing. Not every place can enjoy uninterrupted power in the doomsday. The group walked into the base, and the moment they entered, the gate closed immediately. This is only the first door. There are 2 more doors in the corridor in front of them. The second door needs to detect fingerprints before it can be opened. The third door continues to scan the face. Roar. However, when the third door opened, the roar of the zombies suddenly came out. 4 zombies appeared behind the door and rushed towards Lin Fan and others. Lin Fan and Zhuang Xianjun reacted the fastest. They swung their axes twice in a row, and the heads of the 4 zombies fell to the ground. The people trapped inside should have been infected, Lin Fan said. It depends on whether they have time to hide in a safe room, Mu Guoxin said in a deep voice. Some rooms are equipped with food resources, which can save a lot of unnecessary time for scientific researchers and allow them to focus more on scientific research projects. Chapter 93 There is a living person. Then let's search all the rooms in this base first to see if there are any alive. Hearing Mu Guoxin say this, Lin Fan made a quick decision. Search separately, Zheng Yuanzhang asked. Only together, Mu Guoxin shook his head and said, many places in this base have locked doors, which can only be opened with fingerprints or face scans. As he spoke, he looked to the left. Let's search this side first. This is the work area. After searching the work area, we will go to the living area. Mu Guoxin has been working here for many years and is more familiar with this place than anyone else. With his leadership, the search work is also quite convenient. It took them 10 minutes to search the work area quickly. Apart from seeing zombies, no other life was found. Back to the center, Lin Fan and others began to search the living area on the right. The area of the living area is not as large as the work area. After a few minutes, they came to the last row of rooms. Someone, Wang Jianwei's eyes fixed and noticed that there was another person lying on the ground in the rightmost room. Lin Fan and others quickly walked over and looked through the glass. The man was wearing work clothes, with his back to them and his face facing the ground, so they couldn't see his face clearly. Of course, if they just looked at him like this, they couldn't be sure whether he was a human or had turned into a zombie. This is Professor Zhou's room. Mu Guoxin took a look, then stretched out his hand and knocked on the window, shouting, Professor Zhou, can you hear me? I'm Mu Guoxin, can you get up and open the door for us? Since the zombies here had been cleared out, there was no need to worry about danger. Mu Guoxin's shouting was very loud, and it could definitely be heard clearly in the room. However, after a long time after he shouted, the people inside did not respond, and they were still crawling on the ground. Could this Professor Zhou have turned into a zombie? Wang Jianwei asked tentatively. No, Lin Fan's eyes flashed, and he shook his head and said, if he was a zombie, he would not have reacted to such a loud noise, and he would have gotten up and pounced on us a long time ago. That's right, Wang Jianwei reacted. Zombies were so sensitive to sound, it was impossible for them to hear the sound and not act. I think he's sick and has no strength to stand up. Lin Fan waved the axe in his hand. You step back, I will break the window. Wang Jianwei, Mu Guoxin and others immediately stepped back a distance. Crash. Lin Fan swung the axe in his hand and hit the window. There was a crash, and glass shards fell all over the floor. Lin Fan reached out from the window and opened the locked door. Mu Guoxin was about to help Professor Zhou up immediately, but Lin Fan stopped him. Let me go and see first. Mu Guoxin nodded and watched Lin Fan walk to Professor Zhou. Lin Fan remained alert, squatted down, reached out and pulled Professor Zhou, so that Professor Zhou turned over. At this time, they clearly saw that Professor Zhou rolled his eyes, foamed at the mouth, and twitched all over. No wonder the other party had been squirming just now. It turned out to be caused by convulsions. After confirming that the other party was not in any other danger, Lin Fan pinched the other party's Renjong with his fingers and tried to wake him up. After a few minutes, Professor Joe finally stopped twitching, but he fell into coma. Jianwei, give him some water first and see if he can wake up later, Lin Fan said. Okay, Wang Jianwei did not hesitate and immediately took out a bottle of mineral water from his pocket. After unscrewing the cap, he fed it to Professor Joe one cap at a time. About 10 minutes later, Wang Jianwei suddenly said in surprise, "It moved, he moved." As Wang Jianwei's voice spread, everyone's eyes focused again. Sure enough, they saw that Professor Joe's fingers trembled slightly twice, and then his tightly closed eyes slowly opened. When he opened his eyes and saw so many people, Professor Joe was a little confused, and subconsciously thought that he had hallucinations before he died. "Professor Joe," Mu Guotian approached Professor Joe and shouted. "You?" Professor Joe was stunned for a moment, and it took him a while to react. "Professor Mu, it's me." Mu Guotian nodded, stretched out his hand and grabbed Professor Joe. "Do you remember what happened?" "I remember. Everyone turned into zombies. I hid back in the room, ate everything in the room, and then I got sick, until you showed up now," Professor Joe said. "Getting sick? I have epilepsy, and it has never been cured?" "I see." Mu Guotian helped Professor Joe up and said, "As long as you pay more attention to epilepsy, there should be no problem." "Professor Joe, do you feel better now?" "Much better." Professor Joe nodded, and then his stomach made a gurgling sound, which made him look embarrassed. "Jianwei, give Professor Joe some food," Lin Fan ordered. "Yes." Wang Jianwei quickly handed a piece of bread to Professor Joe. "We are all together, don't worry about eating," Mu Guotian said. Thank you. Professor Joe took the bread, tore it open and ate it with relish. The reason why he had epilepsy this time was actually because he was too hungry and had nothing to eat. In the past few days, he had eaten all the food in the room. He was too hungry and his nerves were stimulated, so he had an epilepsy. When he was eating bread, Lin Fan and others did not say much, and they waited quietly beside him. When he finished eating the bread, Mu Guotian said, "Professor Joe, you should not know the situation outside, right?" "Not sure." Professor Joe shook his head blankly, and suddenly thought of another question, and asked hurriedly, "Professor Mu, I remember that before the Doomsday outbreak, you were not in the base, but went to Anzhou City to participate in a scientific research discussion meeting?" "Yes, I went to Anzhou City, and now I am back from Anzhou City." Mu Guotian took a deep breath. "Well, let me tell you about the specific situation outside first, so that you can have a general understanding, okay? Tell me." Professor Joe was obviously curious about this question. Mu Guotian did not waste time and told Professor Joe about the situation in the outside world. After listening to this, Professor Joe's expression changed several times. He really didn't expect that a good world would become like this in such a short time. "So you are now sneaking in from that factory?" Professor Joe asked. Mu Guotian not only told them about the situation outside, but also about what they had experienced during this period, including being controlled by Su Qinkang and others. "Yes, we still have people detained there, and we must go back to rescue them." A solemn look flashed across Mu Guotian's old face. "So, Professor Joe, I hope you can help us." Chapter 94 Too Rich. Although Mu Guotian can open any door and go anywhere in this secret base, the resources here cannot be used up forever. If they are not replenished after they are used up, there will be a big gap in the future. Professor Joe has a high level of scientific research. If he can provide help in scientific research and development, it will obviously be the best result. This is also the main reason why Mu Guotian wants to win over Professor Joe. Hearing Mu Guotian's request, Professor Joe nodded and agreed without thinking. "Professor Mu, we have worked together for so many years, and we know each other well enough. Now that we are facing such a doomsday crisis, it is the time for us to join forces. I hope that the country can return to normal as soon as possible and completely eliminate these zombies." Professor Joe's words made Mu Guotian very pleased, and Lin Fan was also very satisfied. With two Taishan-level scientific research professors joining forces, he no longer had to worry about anything in scientific research and development. The most important thing is that they produce and manufacture bullets, which basically means that there will be no shortage of bullets. Of course, the materials for making bullets still need to be sufficient. "We haven't checked the weapon storage just now. Let's go and take a look together," Mu Guotian suggested. "Okay," Lin Fan nodded. Before, they were mainly looking for anyone alive. They didn't have time to go into the weapon storage in the work area when they passed by. Now that the search is complete, it's time to see how many weapons are inside. The group left the living area and walked towards the work area. The weapon storage is at the innermost end of the work area. There looks to be an extremely smooth wall there. In fact, only staff members like Mutagenic and Professor Joe know that the extremely smooth wall is actually a door. Mutagenic walked to the center of the wall and stretched out his hand towards the wall. Then, a screen appeared above the wall, and infrared light flashed on the screen. When the infrared light scanned Mutagenic's face, a voice came from the screen, scanned past. The moment the voice fell, the smooth wall cracked in the middle and then opened to both sides. A room with an area of 200 square meters suddenly appeared in the side of Lin Fan and others. Damn, Wang Jianwei was stunned by the sight. Zhang Yuanzhang was also surprised. Even as a prison guard, he had never seen so many weapons. Lin Fan was also moved. Such a large room was filled with all kinds of guns. Every row of shelves was filled with a dazzling array of guns. How many guns are there here? Zhang Yuanzhang took a deep breath and asked curiously. 5,000, Mutagenic replied. 5,000. This number, without a doubt, surprised Zhang Yuanzhang and Wang Jianwei again. There are guns in the front, and there is a small room in the back, and the small room is full of bullets, Mutagenic said. As he said that, he walked in. Let's go in and take a look, Lin Fan smiled. It must be said that there are really many guns here, and the types are really rich. Pistols, shotguns, submachine guns, sniper rifles, heavy machine guns, etc. All kinds of guns can be found here. Are these two laser guns? Lin Fan glanced around. When he was about to reach the end of the room, he noticed two guns with a rather special appearance on the shelf on the left. Yes. These two are the laser guns I mentioned before, Mutagenic nodded. Lin Fan walked over and reached out to pick up one of them and looked at it. He smiled and said, it really feels very different to touch, haha, let me touch it too. Wang Jianwei smiled and walked over to reach out to take the other one. The moment he got it in his hand fell down a distance. Why is it so heavy? Although it looks light, the material it is made of is very special, so it is a bit heavy, Mutagenic explained. Wang Jianwei nodded. This was the first time he held such a high-tech thing, and he couldn't help but play with it for a while. At this time, Professor Joe had already opened the door of the small room. Lin Fan put down his laser gun, walked to the door of the small room, and saw the bullets piled up inside. He said, there are probably tens of thousands of bullets, right? Yes, there are 50,000 bullets in total. Professor Joe took a glance and said, we have been replenishing the reserves here. Every time we take out a certain amount, we will replenish it in a short time to ensure that the number remains unchanged. Zio Fan, with so many guns, we don't have to worry about Su Qinkang and others now. Wang Jianwei also put down his laser gun and walked over to say. It's not that simple. Lin Fan smiled and shook his head. What? Wang Jianwei was stunned. Although there are enough guns and bullets, we only have so many people after all. The most important thing is that they have hostages. If we want to reverse the situation, we have to make a detailed plan. It is absolutely not advisable to force it, Lin Fan analyzed. Now it is certain that the guns and bullets on Su Qinkang's side are definitely not as sufficient as theirs. However, if they force it, then Su Qinkang and others are likely to attack Murengzu and others. In that case, even if Su Qinkang and others are killed in the end, it will be a meaningless war. Brother Lin, do you have any good plans now? Zhang Xianjun knew that Lin Fan was right, and asked with a serious face. Not yet, but including today, we have a total of 3 days, enough to think out a perfect plan, Lin Fan said confidently. In the following time, Lin Fan and others cleaned up the secret base. After all, they had to live here, and leaving some zombie corpses would affect their mood. After cleaning the zombie corpses outside, Lin Fan said, I plan to walk around this island. Do you want to join me? Let's go together. Zhang Yuanzhang nodded. Anyway, it's fine to walk around now, Wang Jianwei smiled. Brother Lin, then you go and walk around, and the three of us will help Professor Mu and the others to look at the machines that produce bullets. We know a little bit about these aspects, Zhang Xianjun said. Okay, Brother Zhang, then I'll trouble you, Lin Fan said. Zhang Xianjun and the other two returned to the base to help, while Lin Fan and the other two walked towards the beach. I haven't eaten meat for a long time. Let's see if we can catch fish on the beach and make a grilled fish meal, Lin Fan said with a smile. Yes, it's more convenient to eat fish by the sea. We must have a good meal tonight, Wang Jianwei rubbed his hands excitedly. The three of them quickly came to the sea and started fishing. There were many fish in the sea area. After a while, the three of them caught more than 10. Lin Fan, look there. Zhang Yuanzhang's face changed and pointed to the sea area not far ahead. Chapter 95 Using Laser Gun. Lin Fan and Wang Jianwei looked in the direction of Zhang Yuanzhang's finger, and saw a dark object swimming towards them in the sea. What is that? It's swimming very fast. Wang Jianwei's face was full of curiosity. Step back a little and take a look, Lin Fan frowned. The three of them immediately stepped back 10 meters, and continued to stare at the thing in the sea. After a while, the thing finally swam out of the sea and onto the beach. What a big turtle, Wang Jianwei said with wide eyes. It's not a turtle, it's a sea turtle, Zhang Yuanzhang corrected. Wang Jianwei was a little embarrassed and scratched his head. I was mistaken, it's really a sea turtle. This sea turtle has been infected, Lin Fan pondered. Then, he moved his mind and used the ring to read the data of the sea turtle. Species, sea turtle level 1 strength, 4 speed, 5 reaction, 6 defense, 8 pickup attributes, defense. When the data information of the sea turtle appeared in front of him, Lin Fan's heartbeat suddenly accelerated. Defense attributes can be picked up. This is something he had never seen before. Moreover, defense attributes did not appear in the data information of these evolvers. He was tempted before, but later he thought about it carefully and realized how precious the defense attribute is. To give a simple example, an evolver has extremely high strength, speed and reaction, and he can be as powerful as he wants. It is undoubtedly very difficult to deal with such an evolver. But if it is attacked by dense bullets, or bombed with weapons such as bombs, then, if the evolver cannot avoid it, it can only face such an attack head-on. No matter how strong the other data of the evolver is, it is still a mortal body. It will still feel pain when it is attacked, not to mention being bombed by a bomb. At this time, the importance of defense attributes can be fully reflected. If the defense attribute is high, it will be invulnerable to swords and guns, and water and fire will not invade. This is why, with Lin Fan's temperament, he was so excited when he saw the data information of this turtle. Roar. The turtle took the temptation and walked towards Lin Fan and others, making an unpleasant roar of zombies. Bang! Lin Fan's eyes focused, and he clenched the axe in his hand, and chopped down hard on the turtle. The moment the axe collided with the turtle shell, an extremely crisp sound suddenly sounded. So hard, Lin Fan moved the axe away and saw only a small mark on the turtle shell. His current strength data has reached 7. He chopped down with the axe with all his strength, and the damage was extraordinary. However, even with such a strong force, it did not cause much damage to the turtle's shell. It is worthy of the existence of a defense data of 8. The turtle's shell is too strong, Wang Jianwei said in surprise. Well, it is indeed very strong. Even Lin Fan's axe with such great strength did not cause any damage, Zhang Yuanzhang nodded. They both knew how strong Lin Fan was. Lin Fan could not shake it, let alone them. We can only start from the rest of its body, Lin Fan made a decision quickly. He turned his eyes and looked at the turtle's head. The axe swung, and a white light flashed. Unexpectedly, the turtle sensed the danger and immediately retracted its head, so that Lin Fan's axe missed and a deep groove was cut on the beach. Roar. The turtle's retracted head suddenly stretched out and opened its mouth to bite Lin Fan's hand. Lin Fan was quick-witted and quickly retracted the axe, perfectly avoiding the turtle's attack. Without any hesitation, he grasped the axe again and chopped at the turtle's head. The turtle rushed forward with its limbs and used its shell to block the axe. Bang! Another crisp sound spread out. Obviously, this attack still had no effect. Wang Jianwei and Zhang Yuanzhang didn't expect that the turtle would react so quickly and know how to use its shell to resist. Jianwei, brother Zhang, go get me a laser gun. I think it's hard for an ordinary gun to hurt it. Let me try out how powerful the laser gun is. Lin Fan's expression was slightly condensed, and he said, when you return to the base, stay alert and be careful of zombie animals appearing in the woods. Okay, we'll go now. Hearing this, Zhang Yuanzhang and Wang Jianwei looked at each other, responded, and turned around and ran back to the base without delay. While Zhang Yuanzhang and Wang Jianwei went to get the laser gun, Lin Fan continued to deal with the turtle to prevent it from returning to the sea. Before the doomsday, the ocean was a place full of unknown dangers, not to mention that some creatures were directly infected and turned into zombies after the doomsday. Without special defense measures, Lin Fan did not dare to go into the sea to explore easily, as it was too dangerous. About 10 minutes later, Wang Jianwei and Zhang Yuanzhang came back from the base with laser guns. Lin Fan, here, Zhang Yuanzhang handed the laser gun in his hand to Lin Fan. Lin Fan reached out to take the laser gun, threw the axe on the ground, pointed the gun at the turtle, and a laser flashed out. Lin Fan wanted to test how powerful the laser gun was, so he pointed the laser at the turtle's shell. Zizzy. Zizzy. When the laser fell on the turtle's shell, there was a friction sound, or it would be more appropriate to say that it was a welding sound. In fact, at a certain moment, it seemed that sparks could be seen flying. The turtle was infected and turned into a zombie, and it did not feel any pain. Even when it was attacked by the laser gun, it felt no pain and continued to rush towards Lin Fan. Lin Fan had a sneer on his face, and used the laser gun to sweep from the tail of the turtle shell along the center to the turtle's head. After the first sweep, the turtle shell had already shown a tendency to crack, and a crack could be clearly seen on the shell. "This turtle shell is simply amazing," Wang Jianwei exclaimed in shock. Yes, the laser gun is so powerful, but it didn't break the turtle shell directly after such an attack. The defense ability of the turtle shell is really too strong, Zhang Yuanzhang also said with emotion. It didn't work once, so Lin Fan quickly came a second time and continued to attack along the crack with a laser gun. After 3 repeated attacks, the turtle shell finally couldn't hold on and split in the middle. Without the protection of the turtle shell, the turtle's body was naturally exposed to the field of vision. Lin Fan pointed the laser gun at the turtle's head, and a laser burst out, cutting the turtle's head in an instant. This zombie turtle was finally solved. Without any hesitation, Lin Fan immediately used the ring to pick up the defensive attribute on the turtle. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96, Expressing Your Opinions. Species, Human Level, Level 1 Strength. 7 Defense. 4 Speed. 7 Reaction. 7 Ability. Acquiring Lin Fan's own data information appeared in front of him. The defense attribute has increased by 4. Seeing the number in the defense attribute column, Lin Fan himself was shocked. He had never expected that this turtle would give him 4 points of defense attribute at once. At first, he thought that it could only increase by 1 point like other picked up attributes. It must be said that this really gave him a big surprise. Moreover, at this moment, he could clearly feel that his skin seemed to have added a thick protective film. Subconsciously touching the skin on his arm with his hand, it really gave him a feeling of indestructibility. Now that a knife is used to cut my body, the strength of a normal person may not be able to cause me any harm, right? Lin Fan secretly guessed in his heart. He felt that the protective film under his skin could already allow him to deal with the attack strength of a normal person using a knife to cut him. This guess was not because he was overconfident, but the real feeling of touching the skin. Zio Fan, what's wrong with you? Is your hand uncomfortable? Wang Jianwei asked curiously when he saw Lin Fan touching his arm. No, it was just a little itchy, so I scratched it a few times. Lin Fan smiled and stopped touching his skin. Your scratching movements are too obscene. If you don't know, you might think you're taking advantage of yourself, Wang Jianwei joked. Haha, I think you're the obscene one, Lin Fan laughed. Zhang Yuanzhang also smiled, then looked towards the sea and said, I thought it would be safe to live on the island, where human zombies could live. Now it seems that it is not absolutely safe. Human zombies cannot come, but animal zombies in the sea can still come. In the world of Doomsday, of course, no place is absolutely safe. It is just relatively safer on an island like this. After all, those animal zombies in the sea generally do not approach the shore unless they are attracted by some movement. Lin Fan smiled faintly and said, this zombie turtle should have been attracted by the movement of our fishing just now. Otherwise, it will continue to stay in the sea and attack other marine creatures. That's right, Zhang Yuanzhang nodded. Okay, let's not waste time here. Take the fish back and have a good meal tonight." Lin Fan waved his hand, and the three of them picked up the fish they had just caught and returned to the base. This base is indeed very good. There is no power outage or water shortage. As for water resources, high-tech means are used to transform seawater to a certain extent, turning it into water resources that people can drink normally. This kind of high-tech means cannot be used on a large scale. The country will only adopt it under special circumstances. Back in the base, Zhang Yuanzhang and Wang Jianwei went to process the fish together, while Lin Fan came to Zhang Xianjun and his team. "Brother Lin, have you solved the zombie turtle?" Zhang Xianjun asked. When Zhang Yuanzhang and Wang Jianwei came back to get the laser gun, they had roughly told them the reason. "It's solved. The power of this laser gun is really strong," Lin Fan nodded. "I haven't used it yet, but I know it's very powerful." Zhang Xianjun smiled, then his eyes swept over the machines in front of him and said, "By the way, we have just conducted a comprehensive inspection of these machines. There are no problems and they can be put into production normally." "That's good. In this way, we can have a steady supply of bullets." Lin Fan nodded again. Wang Jianwei and Zhang Yuanzhang worked very quickly. In just half an hour, the two of them finished grilling the fish. "I haven't had such a good meal since the doomsday outbreak. I used to think that grilled fish was not delicious, but now it tastes so good." Wang Jianwei took a bite of the fish and said with a greasy mouth, "Indeed, since the doomsday outbreak, no one has had a good meal again, let alone have time to enjoy such a grilled fish meal." Everyone was very satisfied with this grilled fish. After eating, Mu Guxian and Professor Zhou continued to do research. Of course, Zhang Xianjun's other two teammates were also arranged to help. Lin Fan, Wang Jianwei, Zhang Yuanzhang and Zhang Xianjun, the four of them sat around a table and began to discuss plans to deal with Su Qingkang and others. "Everyone can put forward any ideas on this matter, so that we can discuss and determine the best action plan," Lin Fan said. Zhang Yuanzhang was the first to suggest, "We have so many weapons and bullets now, but the only thing we can't match them is manpower. I personally think that we can lurk outside and fight a war of attrition with them. As long as they don't know it was us who did it, they won't attack Murenzhu and the others. After we have almost exhausted their manpower, we will attack them in one fell swoop." This is the action Zhang Yuanzhang can think of at the moment, which is a roundabout way to save the country. If force doesn't work, then use consumption. Wang Jianwei followed up by saying, "I'd like to follow up on Brother Jiang's plan. We can also consider letting some people return to the factory. If they ask, we can say that others unfortunately died in the process of searching for supplies. In this way, when the war really breaks out, we can cooperate inside and outside. While they are dealing with the dangers outside, maybe we can find a chance to escape." After Wang Jianwei finished speaking, Zhang Xianjun also said, "Your plans are all good, but there is still a problem. Murenzhu and the others are being held in a solitary confinement room, and the door of the solitary confinement room is quite sturdy. Once they are locked inside, it is not certain that the door can be broken open from the inside. If the door cannot be broken open, even if the rescue operation outside can kill some of them, it will not be of much significance. On the contrary, it will arouse their suspicion and vigilance later, which will be even more detrimental to our next rescue. After all, Zhang Xianjun is the captain of the special forces. Considering these combat issues, his experience is naturally much richer than Zhang Yuanzhang and Wang Jianwei. He can immediately see the shortcomings of Zhang Yuanzhang and Wang Jianwei's action plans. "That's right, we didn't think about it so thoroughly just now." Zhang Yuanzhang and Wang Jianwei looked at each other and nodded in approval. Lin Fan looked at Zhang Xianjun and asked, "Brother Zhang, what do you think is the most difficult problem in this action plan?" Zhang Xianjun thought for a while and said, "I think the most difficult thing at the moment is that we don't know the true strength of Su Qingkang and others, and we can't be sure of the number of their revolvers. Then, the biggest problem is that if we attack them from the outside and they keep hiding inside and don't come out, we don't seem to be able to do much to them. After all, our own people are still there, and it's impossible to blow up the factory directly." Chapter 97 Determining an Action Plan. Zhang Xianjun's perspective on the problem was quite sharp. He said it very well. Although they had enough guns and bullets to attack from outside, they could not take any other tough measures if the other party kept hiding inside and did not come out. Moreover, at the moment, it was really unclear how many evolvers there were in the other team. Of course, the latter could be left alone for the time being, The main thing was the former. Now that the factory had stored a lot of food resources, it was estimated that it would be enough for a long time if the other party did not come out. They were afraid that during the stalemate, Su Qinkang and others would find out that they were the ones who were playing tricks, and Murinzu and others would be in an extremely dangerous situation. This was not the result they wanted to see. Xiao Fan, what do you think we should do better? Wang Jianwei looked at Lin Fan and asked. Zhang Yuanzhang and Zhuang Xianjun also looked at Lin Fan, and it was obvious that they were looking forward to Lin Fan's plan. There's nothing wrong with the plans and opinions you just mentioned. I will summarize them based on what you said. Lin Fan's expression was serious, and he analyzed. First, we don't have to participate in our own actions when we attack them from the outside. We can use other things instead. Other things? Zhang Xianjun's eyes were serious. Brother Lin, you mean zombies? Yes, use zombies instead. Lin Fan pondered and said, we can go outside to attract zombies. When we are ready to start a thorough war, we can use zombies to disturb them. In this way, they can think that it is a zombie outbreak, and they can also be forced to come out to deal with zombies. Even if there are enough zombies, they must arrange people to lead the zombies away, so as to disperse their combat power. Brother Lin is right. If we use zombies to launch an attack, we can also effectively prevent us from being recognized by the other side, so as to reduce the chance of Murinzu and others encountering danger, Zhang Xianjun said. However, if there are too many zombies, we may be surrounded by zombies when we go to rescue them, right? Zhang Yuanzhang raised a question. That's not a problem. Don't forget, we still have the modified car. When the time comes, leave one person in the modified car and wait for the signal to drive in to meet us, Lin Fan said with a faint smile. Zhang Yuanzhang couldn't help but slap his thigh. I almost forgot that I haven't been in the modified car for a few days. Brother Zhang, you have to eat more walnuts when you have a chance to find them later, Wang Jianwei joked with a smile. Haha, okay, Zhang Yuanzhang also smiled. Lin Fan continued, second, we must make proper arrangements for the allocation and division of labor of personnel. Brother Lin, you can arrange this, we will listen to you. Zhang Xianjun expressed his opinion. Zhang Yuanzhang and Wang Jianwei naturally had no objections. Lin Fan thought for a moment and said, there are 8 of us here, including Professor Zhou. Professor Mu and Professor Zhou are definitely not suitable to enter the factory to take risks. They can help attract zombies outside to prepare for the response. If you drive the RV, Jianwei, you can't operate it. Brother Zhang must drive it. Then Brother Zhang will be responsible for waiting for the signal in the car. The signal is tentatively set to be 5 consecutive gunshots, with an interval of about 2 seconds between each shot. Be careful to distinguish other gunshots. In this way, Jianwei, you will just guide the zombies with Professor Mu and Professor Zhou to surround the factory. During this period, if you can meet up with Brother Zhang, then try to meet up. If it is not convenient to meet up, then immediately retreat to the dock and wait. Otherwise it will be unsafe if you get separated. After Lin Fan finished speaking, Wang Jianwei and Zhang Yuanzhang nodded again. Brother Zhang, as for the 4 of us, I have thought about it carefully and think it is more appropriate for you to stay outside to support us, Lin Fan said. How to support? Zhang Xianjun asked. If the 4 of us go in together, that means we can't bring guns in, and we can't use laser guns. Lin Fan looked at Zhang Xianjun and said word by word, but if you stay outside, when the time is right, you can come in with a gun and join us. You are stronger than the other 2 teammates, and you are the most suitable person to do this job. No problem, Zhang Xianjun nodded. He could take on this matter. Lin Fan, if only 3 of us go back, will the other party be suspicious? Zhang Yuanzhang said with some concern. Of course they will, but as long as I'm still here, their suspicion won't be that great, Lin Fan said. As the leader of this team, he must go back. Then, he added, moreover, this time, we have to bring more things back to the factory. Not only should we have sufficient supplies, but we should also bring more wine. Then we will tell Su Qinkang that we had a dispute with other people over these supplies, and were attacked by zombies, so we ran away from each other. In order to send the supplies back within the specified time, we didn't have time to find you. This is a good reason. Even I think it's reliable, Wang Jianwei laughed. Lin Fan smiled lightly and said, bring them wine back. I think they can't help drinking. When they are almost drunk, it will be the best time for us to launch a counterattack when it's late at night. However, Brother Lin, you will be locked in the confinement room at that time. I can't guarantee that I can come to open the door for you from the outside in time. What if I can't come? How can you get out? Zhang Xianjun asked the last question. As long as this problem is solved, there will be no doubt about their action plan this time. We have found so many supplies for them these days, and we have lost several teammates. If we drink to celebrate, there is a high probability that they will let us go with them. It is nothing more than sending people to keep an eye on us, Lin Fan said in a deep voice. In this case, when they let us return to the confinement room after drinking, I will take action. What if they don't let us celebrate? Zhang Xianjun asked. If they really don't let us celebrate, I will also find a way to get out of the confinement room. Don't worry, I still have this confidence, but it may take a little longer, and the noise created will easily attract attention, but there is nothing I can do about it. Lin Fan narrowed his eyes. Zhang Xianjun and others did not know that his current strength had been greatly improved compared to the previous 2 days. With this improvement, he was confident that he could force the door of the confinement room from inside. Therefore, the problem that Zhang Xianjun was considering was not a very difficult problem to a certain extent. Chapter 98 Plan unfolds. After the action plan was finalized, Lin Fan and the other three ended the discussion. Zhang Xianjun was responsible for notifying Mu Guoxin and Professor Zhou. Mu Linger was also in the factory, so it was reasonable for Mu Guoxin not to be concerned. After listening to Zhang Xianjun's report on the action plan, Mu Guoxin couldn't help but praise. Little friend Lin's arrangement is indeed very meticulous. There should be no problem if we follow what he said. Sometimes I even doubt how old he really is. He is so young, but he knows more than us. Zhang Xianjun smiled faintly. He is an absolute talent. Mu Guoxin nodded. Zhang Xianjun did not deny this. Professor Mu, Professor Zhou, then you all have a good rest tonight. Tomorrow morning, we will leave this island and go back to the factory to deploy the action, Zhang Xianjun said. Okay, Mu Guoxin nodded again. A night passed quickly. The next morning, Lin Fan and others ate something casually, then boarded the ship and left the island. After returning to the dock and parking the ship, Lin Fan quickly ordered, we will go to collect supplies first. After the supplies are collected, we will start to attract zombies to prepare. The zombies in the surrounding area did not gather together very closely, so they still had to spend time to guide them. After collecting some supplies in the supermarket, Lin Fan and others drove to the city to find a bar and took a lot of wine from the bar. Then, they returned to the warehouse where the rice was placed and loaded a lot of rice into the car. Okay, these things are enough. Lin Fan took a look at the supplies filled in the cargo box of the big truck and smiled faintly. These things are at least not less than 6,000 kilograms, which is already twice the 3-day task. Taking these back will further reduce the vigilance of Su Qinkang and others. We have to split up to attract zombies. When the zombies rush to the factory from both sides, the effect will be best, Lin Fan said. Brother Lin, then the three of us will go to the left, and the three of you will take Professor Mu and Professor Zhou to the right, Zhang Xianjun pondered. Okay, be careful, Lin Fan nodded. Attracting zombies does not mean fighting with them. It is enough for them to have one evolver on their side. Having made the decision, Zhang Xianjun and the other two did not delay any longer and immediately drove to the left side of the road. Let's go, let's move too, just drive this truck directly, Lin Fan waved his hand. Although this truck can only seat 4 people, it is not a big problem to squeeze 3 people in the front and back seats. The 5 people got into the car, and Lin Fan did not delay, stepped on the accelerator, and drove to the right side of the road. The process of guiding the zombies was indeed not too difficult for Lin Fan and others. After all, these zombies will follow the sound when they hear it. And the evolved zombies encountered on the way were easily solved by Lin Fan. Night fell quickly, and many zombies gathered on both sides. They were temporarily attracted by them to walk slowly on the road. Professor Mu, Professor Zhou, the zombies in this direction will be left to you to guide. Jian Wei and Zhang Jie will go with us now. Jian Wei will be responsible for the zombies on Zhuang Ji's side, and Zhang Jie will be responsible for staying in the RV and waiting for the signal, Lin Fan said. These were all things that had been discussed in the previous plan, and everyone obviously had no other questions. Professor Mu and Professor Zhou got off the truck and began to track the zombies towards the factory at a normal speed. Lin Fan, Wang Jianwei and Zhang Yuanzhang continued to drive the truck away. Brother Zhang, you stay here first. When you go to the RV, be careful not to be discovered by Su Qinkang's people. Although their people are unlikely to come here, it is better to be careful, Lin Fan reminded. Okay, I know, Zhang Yuanzhang nodded, without saying anything more, opened the door and jumped out. The clear division of labor is to let everyone do what everyone should do, only in this way can the plan be carried out perfectly. All Zhang Yuanzhang has to do is to guard the RV and wait for the signal, and he doesn't need to consider the rest. After Zhang Yuanzhang got off the car, Lin Fan and Wen Jianwei drove around. They couldn't go through the road outside the factory. They had to go around the back of the factory from another road and then meet up with Zhuang Xianjun and the other two, so that they would not be discovered by Su Qinkang's people. Half an hour later, Lin Fan drove the truck to Zhuang Xianjun and the other two. Roar! Roar! The zombies attracted by Zhuang Xianjun and the other two kept making unpleasant roars. However, the group of zombies was at least 800 meters away from them. Lin Fan stopped the truck and got off with Wen Jianwei. Brother Lin, have Professor Mu and the others finished it? Zhuang Xianjun asked hurriedly. It's done, Lin Fan nodded. There's no problem on our side either, Zhuang Xianjun said. Okay, then it's almost time, let's go back to the factory now, Lin Fan said. You go first, I'll help Jianwei lead the zombies and follow soon, Zhuang Xianjun said. His job was to go in with a gun and meet up with Lin Fan and the others, but it would inevitably take a lot of time for Lin Fan and the others to return to the factory, so he really didn't need to follow so quickly. Okay, then you two will go back to the factory with me, Lin Fan looked at the two teammates behind Zhuang Xianjun. Everything will be arranged by Lin Fan, Zhuang Xianjun also looked at the two teammates. Yes, Captain, the two answered in unison. Lin Fan and the other two returned to the car, started the truck again, and returned to the factory along the highway. When they returned to the factory gate, the sky had completely darkened. However, there was a generator at the factory, and the power was not cut off. The person guarding the gate, with the help of the light, could clearly see that the person driving the truck was Lin Fan. Lin Fan's comings and goings during this period of time had made them all remember this face. Wait a moment, I'll go find Brother Nian, the man said to Lin Fan, and then ran back to the factory. About 5 minutes later, the man brought Zhang Danian here. Lin Fan opened the car door and walked out. Zhang Danian took a look and asked, why is there only one car? Lin Fan showed a sad expression on his face and said, while we were collecting supplies, we had a conflict with a group of people. At that time, zombies attacked us again, and the team was directly dispersed. Only the two of them and I came back. It's all our fault that we were too greedy. We thought that there were abundant supplies there, so we specially got a large truck to load the supplies. It took some time, which led to the conflict with that group of people. When Lin Fan said this, Zhang Danian kept watching, as if he wanted to catch some other information from Lin Fan's expression. However, he did not see the trick from Lin Fan's expression. Don't be too sad, this is how the doomsday is, the fittest survive. Anyway, you three are still alive. Zhang Danian reached out and patted Lin Fan on the shoulder, then walked to the back of the truck. Let me see what supplies you collected this time. Chapter 99, Banquet. Zhang Danian stepped on the tire, grabbed the crossbar of the truck with both hands, and leaned over to take a closer look. So many bottles of wine. When Zhang Danian saw the large amount of beer and liquor in the cargo box, he couldn't help but feel a little surprised. It was because of collecting these bottles of wine that we had a conflict with that group of people, Lin Fan said. Where did you find so much wine? Zhang Danian couldn't help but be curious. A bar in the city center, Lin Fan replied. This answer made Zhang Danian slightly startled, and then he jumped off the tire, looked directly at Lin Fan, and said with some appreciation, good boy, you are brave. You dare to go to the city center to find things. The population in the city center is very concentrated, and the number of zombies is also the largest. Zhang Danian and others are naturally very clear about this. Therefore, during that period of time before, even if they collected supplies, they only dared to collect them in the surrounding areas, and would not go to the city center at all, for fear that they would be surrounded by zombies after going there, which would inevitably put their lives in danger. Especially the last outbreak of the zombie tide, which further dispelled their idea of going to the city center. He really didn't expect that Lin Fan and a few others would dare to go to the city center to collect supplies. Brother Nian, the supplies we collected this time should be more than 6,000 kilograms. Calculated at 1,000 kilograms per day, can you give us 3 days to rest and let us take a break? Lin Fan continued in a sad tone. I think this is okay, but again, I don't have the final say. I have to get the boss's approval. Zhang Danian smiled faintly and said, first, put these things in, and then you and I will go to see the boss. If you apply to the boss in person, I think the boss will agree. Thank you, Brother Nian, Lin Fan nodded. Then, he drove the truck in. Zhang Danian arranged for people to unload the goods, and then took the three of them to find Su Qinkang. In the meeting room, Zhang Danian first reported on Lin Fan's situation of collecting supplies this time. After listening to the report, Su Qinkang said with satisfaction, I really didn't let you down, Brother Su. We want to rest for 3 days and get our spirits back before going out to look for supplies. I don't know, Lin Fan said. Before he finished speaking, Su Qinkang waved his hand and said, since you have performed so well, I can give you 3 days of rest, but after 3 days, you still have to go out to collect supplies, that's for sure. Lin Fan thanked him. Brother Su, thank you. Zhang Xianzhen's two teammates could not find any better words to describe Lin Fan's acting skills except to express admiration. From the beginning to now, Lin Fan's tone and demeanor have been vivid. If they didn't know the truth, they would have thought that Zhang Xianzhen and others were really dispersed by zombies in that supply battle and died in the mouths of zombies. Haha, when doing things in my hands, I always reward and punish clearly, reward meritorious deeds and punish mistakes. Although you lost 3 people when you went out to collect supplies this time, you have exceeded the task. Su Qinkang smiled lightly and said, it's just that you brought wine back. Let's have a good drink tonight. You 3 can also join. Thank you, Brother Su, Lin Fan responded. There was an imperceptible smile in his eyes. All of this was within his control. This way, they could save the trouble of forcing the door of the confinement room after being locked up in the confinement room. Thank you, Brother Su. The other 2 also thanked him, and they admired Lin Fan even more. After all, the scene before their eyes had already been expected by Lin Fan's plan. Not everyone came in for this. Su Qinkang was very satisfied with the attitude of Lin Fan and the other 2. In his opinion, Lin Fan and the other 2 had almost been completely conquered by him and would be willing to do things for him. If he continued like this for a while, he would not have to worry about anything and could do whatever he wanted to Murengzhu and the others. Because he felt that once a person's slavery was formed, it would be difficult to change. He was 100% sure that Lin Fan and the others would become slaves to him. Danian, take them to arrange a banquet. Half an hour later, gather all the brothers who are currently in the factory and have a good drink to celebrate our survival in the doomsday for so long. Su Qinkang looked at Zhang Danian and ordered. Yes, boss, I'll arrange it right away. I'll send someone to notify you when it's done, Zhang Danian responded quickly. Go ahead, Su Qinkang waved his hand. Follow me. Zhang Danian glanced at Lin Fan and the other 2, then turned and walked out. Lin Fan and the other 2 followed Zhang Danian out of the meeting room. Su Qinkang's eyes flashed with an evil smile, and he looked at the 2 female evolvers and said, there's still half an hour left, let's do some serious work. The arrangement of the banquet was proceeding in an orderly manner. While Zhang Danian was giving instructions, he asked someone to notify the rest of the people in the factory. Soon, everyone gathered on the factory's playground. Outside the factory, there were people on guard duty. However, Lin Fan didn't care about these people on guard duty. Because, by the time they found out, the zombie army had already arrived. Brother Nian, everything is done. A younger brother came to Zhang Danian and said. Is it done? Zhang Danian nodded and ordered. You go and inform the boss immediately and ask him to come here to drink and celebrate. Yes, the younger brother responded and turned to the conference room to call Su Qinkang. Soon, Su Qinkang came here with 2 female evolvers. Someone came forward and handed a glass of wine to Su Qinkang. Su Qinkang reached out to take the glass, his eyes swept over everyone, and said loudly, everyone, since the outbreak of the doomsday, we have been struggling to survive. It is only now that we have initially stabilized. Tonight, let's get drunk and celebrate our gains during this period. Raise your glasses and drink this. As Su Qinkang finished speaking, everyone raised their glasses. Cheers! Su Qinkang took the lead in drinking the wine in the glass. Everyone followed suit. In their minds, the zombies around them were cleared every day, and they were not worried that the noise at this time would attract zombies. Even if zombies were really attracted, they would only be a few scattered ones. After finishing the first glass of wine, Su Qinkang waved his hand and pointed to the place where the wine was piled next to him. "Tonight, drink all of this," everyone shouted in unison, and they were all very excited. Lin Fan and the other two stood at the edge of the dinner, looking at these people who were in the revelry, and his heart was not moved. Perhaps these people should not be involved in this matter. But if they don't do this, they will be controlled by Su Qinkang. The most important thing is that Su Qinkang will definitely take action against Murenzhu and others, and it is impossible for him to keep them in custody. In the doomsday, everyone is trying to survive. There is no right or wrong, only winners. Chapter 100, Surrounded by Zombies. Tonight's banquet was a real indulgence for these people. From the outbreak of the doomsday to today, they have been living in depression and have never been so carefree. Therefore, when everyone was drinking, no one was worried about whether they would get drunk, but just wanted to get really drunk. Lin Fan narrowed his eyes, walked to Zhang Danian, and said, "Brother Nian, this cup is for you." Zhang Danian smiled, clinked glasses with Lin Fan, and drank it in one gulp. After drinking this cup, Lin Fan took the wine glass to Su Qinkang again, raised his glass and said, "Brother Su, a toast to you." "Haha, okay." Su Qinkang nodded and also drank a glass of wine with Lin Fan. "Brother Su, we basically haven't slept since last night. We are really tired now. We want to go back and rest. You see, both of them are already very sleepy. I'm worried that their bodies can't hold on," Lin Fan said while pointing at the two teammates. With the negotiation just now, the two teammates naturally cooperated very well, leaning against each other and showing a shaking appearance. Su Qinkang took a look, then retracted his gaze and said, "Okay, then you three go and rest first." While talking, Su Qinkang called Zhang Danian over and asked Zhang Danian to arrange someone to take Lin Fan and the other two back to the confinement room. Tonight's carnival and the performance of Lin Fan's team in finding supplies during this period have already made Lin Fan's team gain a lot of trust. This time, they arranged someone to take Lin Fan and the other two back, and they simply arranged 5 drunk guys. Leaving the playground and walking back to the confinement room, Lin Fan did not relax his vigilance and kept observing whether there were other people around. In any case, there were snipers in Su Qinkang's team, so it was always right to be careful. However, after his careful observation, he found that the people who had been guarding around the confinement room were also called to attend the dinner. It is estimated that they thought that since the people were locked up in the confinement room, there was no chance for them to escape. "Go and open the door," the one who led the way said. The other person nodded, took out the key, and staggered towards the confinement room door. "There's no need to bother you with things like opening the door. Let's do it ourselves," Lin Fan smiled faintly. "What did you say?" The man was stunned. Bang! As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Fan knocked him to the ground with a punch. The other 4 people reacted suddenly and were about to shout loudly, but how could Lin Fan and the other two give them the opportunity to shout? In a blink of an eye, they all fell to the ground. These 5 people were ordinary people. Even when they were not drunk, they were no match for Lin Fan and the other two, let alone when they were drunk. After knocking them down, Lin Fan went over to pick up the key and immediately opened the door of the confinement room. The sound of opening the door naturally attracted the attention of Murenzhu and others. Seeing that it was Lin Fan and the other two, Murenzhu and the others had a flash of joy in their eyes. "Brother Lin Fan, why are there only 3 of you? Where are my grandfather and the others?" Mulinger saw Lin Fan and the other two walking into the room, but did not see Mu Guishan, Wang Jianwei and Zhuang Xianjun, and asked hurriedly. "They are waiting outside, not coming in with us." Lin Fan glanced at Mulinger and said, "Don't worry, they are safe." Then, Lin Fan quickly told the plan to Murenzhu and others. "Calculate the time, the zombie army will be here soon." Before Lin Fan finished speaking, there was a noise at the door. He subconsciously prepared to throw the axe in his hand, but it was not Su Qinkang's people who appeared, but Zhang Xianjun. Zhang Xianjun was carrying a school bag on his back and holding another school bag in his hand. He quickly rushed in from the door. "The zombies will be see just soon," Zhang Xianjun revealed. "Okay, take the guns in your hands first," Lin Fan nodded. Zhang Xianjun put the 2 backpacks on the ground, unzipped them, and quickly took out the guns in the backpacks. "Brother Zhang, 2 laser guns, let's each take 1, Lin Fan said. After all, Zhang Xianjun is the captain of the special forces. In terms of shooting skills, Zhang Xianjun must be the best shooting skill in their team except for himself. It must be right to assign a laser to Zhang Xianjun. Zhang Xianjun brought enough guns, and soon everyone got a gun in their hands. While Lin Fan and others were distributing guns, the factory playground was a different scene. Everyone was immersed in the carnival, drinking one cup after another. Evolvers like Su Qinkang and Zhang Danyan have strong physical fitness and are much more resistant to alcohol. But the rest of the ordinary people are not so good. Many people with poor alcohol tolerance either ran to the edge of the playground to vomit, or were drunk and dizzy, and a few had already fallen asleep on the table. Boss. It's not good. At this moment, a shout suddenly came from outside the playground. The shout was not small, but the noise on the playground was too loud, so this shout did not attract widespread attention. Only evolvers like Su Qinkang and Zhang Danyan heard it. At this time, Zhang Danyan happened to be drinking with Su Qinkang. Hearing the voice, the two turned their heads to look in the direction where the shout came from. A man ran towards them in a hurry. When he came to them, he seemed to be unable to catch his breath. Su Qinkang's eyes fixed and he said in a low voice, "Why are you panicking, boss? There are zombies surrounding us." "A lot of zombies." The man took a deep breath and said the whole sentence. Surrounded by zombies, Su Qinkang and Zhang Danyan's expressions changed. Zhang Danyan reached out and grabbed the man's collar and said, "The zombies around here are cleared every day. How come there are so many zombies surrounding us?" "Are you drunk and stupid, Brother Nian?" "I'm not drunk. There are really a lot of zombies," the man said tremblingly. "I don't know where they came from. Now the whole factory is surrounded. Damn it." Zhang Danyan let go of the other's collar and cursed, "I'll go and see for myself. If I find that you are dazzled and saw it wrong, I'll see how I deal with you." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang Danyan walked directly towards the factory gate. Su Qinkang frowned slightly and decided to go and see for himself. When the two of them left the playground and could no longer hear the carnival, they could clearly hear the roar of the zombies coming from outside. Their faces suddenly changed at this moment, and they could not help but speed up and run towards the gate. Roar! Roar! The roar of the zombies became louder and louder. When Su Qinkang and Zhang Danyan arrived in front of the gate, they just saw the army of zombies crowding at the gate. Because they felt that the area around the factory was safer, they did not close the gate tightly at night. After all, there were always people guarding here. So, at this time, the army of zombies had already poured in from the gate. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.